Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend WTFW with another fiction. What if Deku journey with twin sister? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. 14 years ago, push Mrs. Midoriya. The doctor said, "Come on honey, you can do it." Isashi Midoriya said to his wife, Inko Midoriya. A happily married couple were at the hospital where Inko was giving birth to their child. They didn't know what the gender was since Inko insisted on it being a surprise. But the way things were going, it was sure to be a healthy one. One more push, the doctor said as he reached in the mother's womb. With a large grunt, Inko pushed again and the doctor pulled something out, while the room was filled with that sound as the doctor held the baby in his arms. "Congratulations, it's a boy," the doctor said as he handed the newborn to his mother. "He's beautiful, Hisashi," Inko said with tears in her eyes. "He sure is, honey," the man said as he looked at his newborn son. Inko had many thoughts in her mind, but the most clear one was the possibilities for this child. He would grow up to become something incredible. "There's no time to relax," the doctor said as he took off his old gloves and reached for new ones. "What's wrong, Doc?" Hisashi asked, worried for his wife. She had just given birth. She deserved a rest. "The other one is coming," the doc said as he prepared the equipment. "Other one?" Inko asked, confused. "Wait, we're having twins," Hisashi said in shock. "Well, I guess we got the surprise I was hoping for." Inko laughed before she began to grunt in pain. Hisashi held his wife's hand as she once again went through the pain of childbirth. Minutes after the boy was born, he was joined by his sister. After the doctor confirmed that Inko was done, the couple looked at their newborn children. "They're perfect, Inko. What shall we name them?" Hisashi asked as he stroked his wife's hair. "I had a name for a boy and girl prepared. Looks like I'll get to use them both." Inko giggled as she held her children close to her. "The boy is Izuku and the girl is Himoto." "Izuku and Himoto Midoriya, I love it," Hisashi said. "But you realize how difficult it will be to raise them. Financially speaking, we can't unless—" "I know, dear, you're going to work overseas. But that's okay, as long as you come on the holidays. I'll try as much as I can, honey. But with you as their mother, I'm sure they'll be just fine." "I love you, Hisashi." "I love you too, Inko." 4 years later, Izuku was playing in the park near his home when he noticed a group of boys picking on another boy. He noticed that one of them was his friend Katsuki Bakugo, or at least his old friend. Ever since he got his explosion quirk, he's been acting less friendly, not liking how they treated the boy. Izuku approached them and stood between them and the boy. "Hey, leave him alone, guys," Izuku said to the bullies. "Or what?" Katsuki said as he punched his hand into his palm, which made a little explosion. The other two boys responded by activating their quirks as well. The chubby one grew wings, while the other one extended his fingernails. "Or else, I'll stop you," Izuku said as he got in a fighting stance while looking scared. "Huh, you think you can take us on without a quirk? Don't make me laugh, Deku." Izuku flinched at that name. Why did Katsuki start calling him that? "Please, Kaken, leave him alone," Deku pleaded. "Okay, we'll leave him alone, because now we have you here instead," Katsuki said as he launched an explosion at Izuku which caused him to fall over. The other boys soon joined in as they kicked Izuku while he was on the ground. He tried to fight back, but they were just too much for him. "Hey Izuku," a new voice said from the park entrance. It was Himoto, Izuku's sister. "I finished cleaning my room so Mom said I could come play. Do you want to?" Himoto stopped as she saw what was happening. Her brother was being beaten by some of their classmates from kindergarten. One of them was Katsuki, who she used to be friends with before he started acting more rude. "Hey, stop it," she said as she ran towards the bullies who paid no attention to her. Once she got close, she took a deep breath and blew a green fire from her mouth at them. The two boys flinched and ran away from this, while Katsuki just stood there looking angry. "Whatever, let's get out of here, guys," Katsuki said as he walked away with a frown on his face. When they were gone, Himoto looked at her brother who curled on the ground weeping. "Izuku, are you okay?" she asked. Once he heard her voice, he looked around to see the bullies as well as the kid he tried to protect was gone. He then felt a jolt of pain in his arms. "Oh, you have a boo-boo. Let's go get Mom to kiss it better." Himoto reached out her hand to help her brother, which he took. Once he wasped his feet, they walked back our house. Thank you, Himoto," Izuku said, still crying a little. "Don't mention it. What are sisters for?" Himoto said with a smile on her face. She didn't think it was a big deal, but for Izuku, this meant the world to him. 1 week later, Inko was concerned for her son since he had not manifested a quirk like the other kids. So she took him along with Himoto to the hospital to get answers. "So kid, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Dr. Yujiko asked the boy. "A hero," Izuku said with a lot of enthusiasm. "Sorry kid, that's not gonna happen," the doctor said bluntly. Izuku's face then turned to one of shock. The All Might action figure in his hand slipped and fell on the floor as all his hopes and dreams went up and saw the figure fall and got off her seat to try to hand it back to her brother. But he wouldn't take it. "Sit down, Himoto," Inko said, which Himoto listened to. So you're saying something's wrong, doctor? She asked with concern. My records say that you're a 4th-generation quirk user. What powers are in your family? Me and my husband don't have anything too interesting. He can breathe fire and I can levitate small objects towards myself. Inko then looked at Himoto, who was trying to return the action figure to Izuku. Himoto can breathe fire like her father, but can also control the flames to a certain degree. Ah, so she has the quirk known as Salamander. That's quite a powerful quirk. But back to your son. He should have manifested one of these quirks or a mutation of one like Himoto has. But the fact is he hasn't. And judging by these X-rays, I don't think he ever will. But the two of them are twins. Shouldn't they have the same quirk as each other? Inko asked, looking worried. You're thinking of identical twins. Your children are fraternal twins. This means that they are as different as two normal siblings. As the doctor continued to elaborate, Izuku sat there with his shock expression. Himoto wanted to make him feel better, but she didn't know how. After the appointment, the family returned home. Himoto heard cries coming from Izuku's room and went to see what was happening. She saw her mother come out of the room with tears in her eyes. Mommy, what's wrong? She asked. Nothing, dear, Inko said, wiping her face. Can I see Izuku? Of course you can, dear. He's right in there. Inko opened the door for her and Himoto walked in. She saw her brother watching a video of All Might's debut while crying. What's wrong, Izuku? Himoto asked. Izuku turned to face his sister with tears in his eyes. I can't be a hero, he said as he wept. I can't be a hero because I'm quirkless. What? Who told you that? Himoto asked, surprised. Mom did, Izuku said through his tears. Well then prove her wrong, Himoto said, which made Izuku a bit more calm. Become a hero without a quirk. Izuku looked at his sister confused. His mother just told him to give up, but his sister was doing the opposite. But there are no quirkless heroes, Izuku said, wiping the tears off his face. Then you can be the first one, Himoto said with a bright smile on her face. But I don't think I can do that, Izuku said as his hope started to come back. Then I'll do it with you. You're my brother, best friend after all, Himoto said with a smile that reminded Izuku of All Might. Neither of them knew it, but this moment would affect them for the rest of their lives. Time went on for the siblings. Izuku was bullied for being quirkless, but Himoto was there to protect him. She also taught him some self-defense techniques and convinced him to do fitness training. Since he was quirkless, he needed to make up for it. Present day. Aldera Junior High. Well, since you're all third-year students, it's time for you to pick your career paths. The teacher said I could pass out career papers, but the teacher then threw the papers in the air. Why should I? You all want to go to a hero course, right? The class then cheered and raised their hands while using their quirks, including Himoto, who was sitting at her desk looking out the window, and Izuku, who raised his hand although he was not as excited as the rest of the class. Yes, I know you're all excited, but please settle down. No quirk usage in school, the teacher said, causing the class to stop. Yo, teach, a loud voice said, causing the class to look at the person who said it. It was none other than Katsuki Bakugo. Don't lump me in with these weaklings. I'm the real deal. But these punks will be lucky to end up as sidekicks to some busted D-lister. The class got angry at this statement and started to yell at Katsuki. You guys got a problem. Take me on in a fight. I dare you to. The class got quieter, which allowed Katsuki to hear a lone whisper. What a mess, a green-haired girl said. Katsuki knew exactly who that voice belonged to. What did you say? He said with a touch of rage in his voice. I think you heard me, Himoto said with a smug look. Before Katsuki could do something else, the teacher ordered them to stop. Katsuki didn't like it, but he forced himself to sit down. I understand why you're so confident, Katsuki. You have some pretty impressive test results. Perhaps you will get into UA High. The class suddenly looked in surprise at Katsuki. He's trying out for the national school. A boy with a balloon head said. But they have 0.2 acceptance rate. It's impossible to get in. Another boy with rocks for hair said. That's exactly why it's the only place worthy of me, Katsuki said proudly. I aced all the mock tests, and when I get there I'll quickly become the top student. I'll surpass All Might and become the #1 hero in no time. Oh, that reminds me. The teacher said you want to go to UA as well, Izuku, right? The class then looked at Izuku, who was writing in his book about the villain attack and debut of that he saw earlier. They then started laughing at him, which made him lose confidence. Izuku, in UA, a boy said. There's no way they'll accept a quirkless person like him. A girl said. Stop laughing at him, Himoto said, slamming her hand on her desk, causing the class to stop and look at her. He may be quirkless, but he still has a better shot at getting accepted than any of you. He's strong, knows combat moves, and he's smarter than any of you. What gives you the right to laugh at him? So what if he's smart? A boy with stretching eyeballs said. That doesn't mean he'll get in. After all, schools like UA have rules for that. You can't get into a hero course without a quirk. Actually, they got rid of that rule, Izuku said while trying to sound confident. So I could be the first one. Izuku was then taken aback by a small but menacing explosion on his desk. He looked up to see Katsuki with an angry look on his face. "You, Inoue, as if. You can't get into a place like that. You're just a useless Deku and that's all you'll ever be." Katsuki was about to say more but he was stopped when felt a cold glaze at him. He turned around to see Himoto staring at him. "You better stop there, Katsuki," she said with venom in her voice, "or you'll have to deal with me." Katsuki scoffed at this. "You know, you might have a chance of getting accepted if you weren't so loyal to this useless loser. When will you learn that he's holding you back? When you learn how to respect others," Himoto said with more rage than before. "That's enough, you two," the teacher said, "or do you want to spend another day in detention together?" Katsuki scoffed and headed back to his desk, and the rest of the day went on as normal. After school, "Hey Himoto, yoi," one of Himoto's friends said as she was packing her bag. "Me and Lily are going to go get something to eat. Wanna come?" "Sure, I could use some food in my stomach right now," Himoto said with a smile on her face. Once she finished packing, she left the room with Yoi. And when she did, Bakugo saw that Izuku was still here and decided to take advantage of the situation. Before Izuku could leave the room, he was grabbed by the shoulder and could smell smoke on it. "We need to talk, Deku," Katsuki said with a menacing glare. "I'll make this quick and simple. Don't apply for UA or you'll face big consequences." Deku gulped before one of Katsuki's goons spoke up. "Hey, look what the nerd has here," he said, holding up Izuku's notebook. "Hey, give that back," he said as he tried to grab it, but Katsuki beat him to it. "You want it? Go get it," he said as he used an explosion to blow up the book and throw it out the window. "Oh hey guys, do you mind if I have Izuku come with us? He's had a rough day and I think he could use a break," Himoto said to her friends. "Sure, I don't mind," Yoi said. "Me either," Lily said. Himoto then rushed back to the classroom. "You'll never be a hero. You're just a quirkless weakling who hides behind his guardian angel of a sister every time he's in danger. If you want my advice, take a swan dive off the roof and pray you'll have a quirk in your next life," Katsuki said as his cronies laughed. Izuku just stood there trying not to cry. As Katsuki and his cronies walked out of the room, they passed by Himoto. Katsuki smirked as Himoto looked at him angered. "See you later, Salamander. I told you can't always be there to protect your worthless brother. Do yourself a favor and pretend you don't know him." Himoto fought the urge to punch him in the face, since she had to check on her brother first. "Hey Izuku, are you okay?" she said in a comforting tone. "I'm good," Izuku said with a bit of sadness in his voice. "Forget about that jerk. Why don't you come hang out with me and my friends? We'll get ramen together." "Thanks, but I'll pass. I'll just go home and do some of the workouts on that list you gave me." "Oh okay," Himoto said, a little disappointed. "But make sure you don't just do some of them, do all of them," she said, trying to make her brother feel better. "I'll try," Izuku said with a small smile on his face. He then walked out of the classroom to go get his notebook, while Himoto caught up with her friends. "Is he coming?" Yoi asked. "No, he's going home. But don't worry, we can still have fun," Himoto said with enthusiasm. 10 minutes later, after fishing his notebook out of the fountain, Izuku walked home while taking a shortcut under a bridge. There he was attacked by a sludge monster and nearly got killed when suddenly the monster was blown away by a large air pressure. "Take that, villain," a large voice said. Izuku looked to see All Might, his idol, picking up the pieces of sludge and putting them in a bottle. "All Might," Izuku squealed to himself. "Fear not, young man. You're safe now." Oh boy, I have so many questions." Izuku then asked question after question about All Might's hero and personal life. But in the end, he got one of his notebooks signed by All Might. "Well, I must be off," All Might said as he prepared to jump away. Izuku realized that he forgot to ask his most important question. He tried to stop All Might by grabbing his leg, which he soon regretted once he and the hero were sailing high in the air. All Might was forced to land on a nearby rooftop, where Deku recollected himself. "Sorry about that, sir. But I needed to ask you something important. It's about becoming." Deku stopped when he looked at the #1 hero become engulfed in smoke while coughing blood. The next he knew there stood a skeletal-looking man in the place of his favorite hero. Who are you?" "An imposter," Izuku asked, surprised. "I wish I was kid, but it's a bit more complicated than that," the man said while still coughing. He then went on to explain that he was All Might, and why he looked this way. He was just about to walk out the rooftop door when Deku stopped him. "Wait, sir. I have one more questions. It's about becoming a hero." "That depends. What kind of quirk do you have?" the deflated All Might asked. "That's the thing, sir. I don't have a quirk. But I do have someone who believes in me and has helped me train my body and mind. Although I want to hear your opinion about my question. Can I be a hero without a quirk?" The man took a minute to process the question, but he then answered bluntly. "Sorry, kid. I honestly think you can't. Whoever told you can must have been giving you false hope. You could become a good police officer or something, but not a hero." This answer nearly broke Izuku's heart. All Might just proceeded to walk back down to ground. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get this villain to the police station. See you later, kid." he said as he walked out the door. Izuku stood there for a moment thinking to himself if he should listen to the pro-hero. Maybe he couldn't be a hero. That's when an image of a smiling green-haired girl appeared in his mind, and Izuku's face became one of determination. No, Himoto has worked too hard for me. I promised her I would become a hero and I will keep my promise. While Deku thought this, All Might had reached the ground preparing to head to the police station. When he reached in his back pocket, however, his stomach dropped when he felt it empty. His stomach then dropped lower when he heard a large explosion come from a nearby area. Izuku was walking home when he heard a lot of noise coming from a nearby market area. When he arrived there, he was shocked to see the sludge villain from earlier had gotten free. He was even more shocked when he saw the hostage he had taken. Kalkaken, he said to himself. No, this is all my fault. If I hadn't grabbed All Might's leg. Izuku then noticed that there were pro-heroes around, including the new Mount Lady, but they weren't doing anything. Why aren't they helping him? They should at least try to do something. As he thought this, his legs suddenly moved on their own. Izuku knew he was fighting a battle he couldn't win. What he didn't know was that a certain blonde man was watching from the crowd and got inspired by his actions. Before the villain could finish off the two boys, All Might arrived and defeated the villain with a Detroit smash so powerful he charged the weather. After he was scolded for putting himself in danger, Izuku continued back home. 5 minutes later, Deku, an angry voice said from behind Izuku, who immediately recognized who it was. Before he could say anything, Katsuki spoke again. Don't think I owe because of this. I didn't need your help and I don't want your help. Don't ever do something like that again. Deku just shook his head yes, and Katsuki walked off to his home. Izuku was done with the surprises, but this next one was sure to make home reconsider. I am here, a loud voice said as a buff figure landed in front of Izuku. All Might, what are you? Now time for questions, young man, for I have something important to. All Might then reverted to his skinny form. Something important to discuss. By the way, kid, I never asked your name. Oh, I'm Izuku Midoriya, he said, still a bit surprised. Izuku Midoriya, first off I'd like to apologize for what I said earlier. Whoever told you could be a hero was very correct. I realized that when you tried to save that boy when no one else would. You mean that? Izuku asked, looking a bit teary-eyed. Yes, which is why I want to ask you not just to forgive me, but to train under me. Wait, do you mean, Izuku Midoriya, will you be my successor? These words caused Izuku to nearly burst out crying, but he calmed his nerves when he answered. I would love to, but how can I become as great as you without a quirk? Oh, I can fix that. I'll just give you mine, All Might said without missing a beat. This sparked Izuku's curiosity and led to All Might explaining his quirk OFA and why Izuku needed to keep it a secret. Don't worry, sir, I won't tell anyone, Izuku said as All Might finished his explanation. Great, now it is time for us to go out separate ways. But first give me your phone. Izuku did as All Might said, and when he did, All Might put his number in Izuku's phone. I will text you in a few days on where to meet. When I do come, and don't tell anyone. Understood, Izuku said. Well then, see you next time, young Midoriya. With that, All Might walked away as well as Izuku. Midoriya household. 5 minutes later, Izuku opened the door and walked into his home. When he walked into the living room, he saw his mother and sister watching the news about the sludge attack. Hey, anything interesting on? He said in a joking manner. When they heard his voice, Inko and Himoto got off the coach and hugged him tightly. Baby, I'm so glad you're safe, Inko said. I know you want to be hero, but come on, baby steps, Himoto said as she hugged him tighter. Sorry I worried you guys, but I promise that won't happen again. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some studying to do. Is this about UA? Inko asked. Yes, I need to be ready for the entrance exam, Izuku said as he walked away to his room happily. Himoto noticed this and asked him about it. Hey bro, you sure are happy? Did something happen? Nothing too exciting. I just have a new drive to get into UA. Okay, but just so know, I've decided to apply for UA as well. One of my friends told me that if I really want piss of Bakuguita by stealing his thunder. That's great. Hopefully we get in together. See you when dinner's ready, he said with a grin on his face. Himoto could tell that something special happened to him. However, she decided not to question him about it. He would tell her about it soon. After all, the two were never the type to keep secrets from each other. Izuku, Himoto thought to herself. I don't know what's gotten into you, but I'm sure it means good things are coming your way. Izuku woke up when he heard his phone go off. He looked at the clock and saw that it was 6 a.m. He was about to go back to sleep, but when he read the message, he became wide awake. Meet me at Dagoba Beach in 30 minutes where we'll begin your training. The number didn't have a name, but Izuku knew exactly who it was. All Might wants to start my training. I won't stand him up, he said to himself. Before he left, he went to tell his mother that he was going for some early morning training. And Ko seemed to believe him, so she let him go. Izuku arrived at the beach, which appeared to be more of a junkyard. There were piles of trash all over the area, but Izuku was focused more on finding All Might. He soon came across the hero, or rather the skinny version, near the coast of the beach. Hello All Might, I'm ready to begin. Kid, shush. Don't call me. All Might was then cut off by another man's voice. All Might, where? I hope I can get an autograph. A woman quickly realized his mistake and dismissed his statement. The civilians were saddened, but at least the secret was safe. Okay, rule number 1. When I'm in this form, you will call Mr. Toshinori. Oh, that's your real name. Izuku said, a little embarrassed. Sorry, I didn't realize that. It's cool, kid. But now that that's clear, let's get down to business. All Might was then covered in smoke, and when it cleared, he emerged as the buff hero. Now, let us begin, he said as he pointed toward a fridge. See that refrigerator over there? I want you to pull as much as you can in 10 minutes. Izuku looked confused at this. What? Why? I thought I was going to learn how to use your quirk. You will, young Midoriya, as soon as you're ready for it. I thought you said I was worthy. Your spirit is yes, your body, however, is not. While you may have trained and keep yourself in good shape, you still need more training before you can handle my power. All Might then explained the power and danger of OFA and what would happen if Izuku tried to use it now. With everything explained, Izuku went to move the fridge, while All Might sat on it. After 10 minutes, he managed to move it 3 meters. Not bad, young Midoriya. But you'll have to do better if you want to clean this whole place. Wait, I have to clean all this up, Izuku said, looking a bit scared. Yes, you'll have to clean it all up to prove you're ready to inherit my power. Don't worry, we have 10 months until the entrance exam. You have plenty of time. The rest of that morning, Izuku pulled and cleaned all the garbage he could. He was allowed to go back home at about noon. All Might told him to come here and clean every 2 days or so. And when he's at home, to follow the American dream plan he gave him. Hey Izuku, Himoto asked her brother before he left the house. Yeah sis, where are you going? To work out. Why? Why? Because these past few weeks you've been acting strange. Sure, you work out before, but you've started to eat differently as well. Oh, I'm just trying to prepare for the entrance exam, he said, trying to find an excuse. He didn't like lying to his sister, but All Might insist he keep it a secret. He quickly dismissed his sister and went to the beach. Okay bro, you won't tell me. I'll just see for myself, Himoto said before she quietly left the house and followed Izuku, making sure he didn't notice her. Once they got to the beach, Himoto hid behind some garbage as she spied on her brother talking to a skeletal figure. Who's that? Why is Izuku talking to him? Himoto couldn't think of more questions once the skeletal figure changed into the number 1 hero. No way. All Might, Himoto yelled. She quickly covered her mouth, but it was meaningless as All Might went over the trash she was behind and easily lifted it. Hello young lady, are you in need of assistance? All Might said. But when he got a good look at the girl, he noticed that she looked a lot like Izuku, but she appeared to be slightly taller and had less freckles on her face. Izuku looked around All Might and his eyes opened in surprise. Himoto, Izuku said in surprise. What are you doing here? Finding out what you've been up to these past weeks. Turns out you've been training with All Might, or some kind of All Might impersonator. Who is this guy anyway? Izuku looked at All Might with a serious expression. All Might knew what the boy wanted to ask, and as much as he wanted to say no, he couldn't. Not after Izuku told him all about his guardian angel, and how she's the reason he is trying to be a hero in the first place. Fine young Midoriya, I suppose you can tell her. I told a few people I trusted when I was younger, so I can relate. Izuku explained everything to Himoto. About the sludge villain, the rooftop talk, as well as the American dream plan. Himoto just couldn't believe her ears. She always supported her brother's dreams. But now he had the number hero in his corner, as well as being his chosen successor. Wow Izuku, this is amazing, she exclaimed. You really think so, Himoto? Yeah, you already had a chance at being a hero before, but now you're guaranteed to be one. Sorry I didn't tell you at first. All Might said it was too dangerous to tell anyone, especially family. It's okay, I understand. You were trying to protect me. Yeah, so I guess I don't have to tell you that we can't tell Mom. Don't worry, I'll tell her that you're training for UA, and I decided to join you. Which technically isn't a lie. The siblings had a quick laugh before they looked at All Might. Excuse me, Mr. All Might, Himoto said a bit shyly. It's actually Mr. Toshinori, but what is your question? Now that I know about this, I don't suppose I could. Maybe. You wish to join your brother in his training. I gladly grant you that request. Really, thank you sir. Because even though I have a strong quirk, I need to improve my physique as well. Plus me and Izuku could have some sparring matches to hone our fighting skills. That's not a bad idea. Let us start with you two cleaning that pile over there, All Might said, pointing at a trash heap. All that, Himoto said, her enthusiasm fading. Don't worry sis, you get used to it, Izuku said, teasing her a little. He then ran towards the garbage can before Himoto could respond. She then went chasing after him. Haha, look at those two, All Might said with a grin on his face. They will make a fine hero duo in the near future. All Might arrived at the beach after receiving a text from Izuku. These past months, he and his sister had been working non-stop on the beach. Sometimes he even saw them practice fight with each other. But when he got to the beach, he saw something he was not expecting. The beach was completely clean. No trash was nowhere to be seen. He got out of his car and walked around the beach, looking for the twins. He soon found them leaning against a pile of collected trash. They were both painting and covered in sweat, while sharing a water bottle. "I don't believe it," he exclaimed as he approached the twins. "You two exceeded my expectations. I thought it would take you both at least another month." "Well, we would have, but Izuku keep pushing me to do extra," Himoto said before she took a drink of water. "Hey ... you pushed me to do more as well," Izuku said, trying to catch his breath. "Well, the fact is you two are done. And you realize what that means." Izuku felt excitement fill his body as his mentor changed into his buff form. "The time has come for you to take what you have so rightfully earned, young Midoriya. Time for the quirk transfer to begin." Izuku couldn't help but grin. All his hard work was about to be rewarded. Himoto also found herself smiling. Her brother was about to receive something he's always wanted, a quirk that will make his dreams come true. All Might then plucked a hair from his head and held it towards Izuku. "Eat this," he said bluntly, causing both Izuku and Himoto's smiles to turn into looks of confusion. "Go on, eat it. In order for the transfer to work, you must take some of my DNA. Eat either this or drink some of my blood. Now eat." Eat. Once that little fiasco was over, the twins left back to their home. All Might told Izuku that he would contact him in a few days and take him to a new location where he could practice OFA. He was excited to learn how to use All Might's power, but he was also worried because what if he couldn't handle it? Izuku and Himoto were waiting at a cafe that All Might said to meet him at. They waited for a while, but eventually All Might arrived in his small form. "Why is your sister here?" he asked. "I train better when she's around. I hope that's not a problem," Izuku said. "I suppose not. Now you two, follow me to the new location." The twins followed the pro hero on a train and through a short path. They soon realized that they were being taken to UA High, their dream school. Once they went through the front gates, they went to a gym labeled Gym Gamma, where they saw an old lady with a weird-looking cane standing in the middle. "Who are you?" Izuku asked. "I'm Recovery Girl," she said. "She's the school nurse." All Might said, "I had to call in some favors to get you the gym and Recovery Girl, but it will all be worth it. You see, using your new power at first may give you some minor injuries, so she's here to help you through that." "Sounds okay, I guess," Izuku said unsurely. "So let's begin," All Might said as he then went to get a dummy out of the supply closet. He placed it in front of Izuku and walked beside him. "Let's start with something simple, young Midoriya. I want you to focus all your power in your arm and unleash it at this dummy." "About that, sir," Izuku said, looking a bit concerned. "I don't really know how to use my power. I haven't felt any change since the transfer. I was hoping you would have some advice on how to use it. Just clench your buttocks and yell SMASSH. That's how I started out." All Might's with a reassuring smile. "I'll try." Izuku then walked up to the dummy and reeled his arm back and followed All Might's advice. He felt a surge of power gather in his arm, and when he launched his arm forward he yelled, SMASSHH. The dummy was sent flying into the gym wall, breaking on impact, and a large gust filled the gym. Himoto was surprised to say the least. Her brother was always in need of help, but with power like this, he probably didn't need her anymore. Izuku screamed as his arm was filled with great pain. "What happened?" Himoto said, rushing to help her brother. "It's just as I expected." All Might said, "Don't, he'll be fine in a moment. Recovery Girl, do your thing." "Okay then," Recovery Girl said as she approached the boy and kissed his arm. The twins were confused at first, but they then saw Izuku's arm begin to instantly heal. Once it was, Izuku felt a little bit of exhaustion overcome his body. "How did you do that?" Himoto asked. "I just used my quirk. It basically allows me to convert your stamina to healing power just by kissing the injured person. This power can heal almost any wounds. But be careful. If I do it to you too much, your stamina will drain completely and you'll die instantly." Izuku flinched at hearing this but calmed himself when he realized that he was completely healed. "So every time I get hurt, I just get her to heal me?" Izuku asked All Might. "I wouldn't recommend making a habit of it, but yeah, that's how it will be for now. Just until you can find a way to handle it without injury." "Well, we got about 3 months until the entrance exams, so I'm sure I can think of something in that time," Izuku said. "It's gonna be a long 3 months," Himoto said with a worried expression. Izuku was resting in Recovery Girl's office. He had been training with Himoto in the gym to try to control his quirk better, but every time he used it, he just broke his arms and fingers. This time he broke his fingers so bad that they had to be bandaged after Recovery Girl healed them. "I can't keep doing this," she said, turning to look at the deflated All Might. "I was fine doing it once, and have keep doing because I respect you. But I have reached my limit. I can't watch this boy hurt himself anymore just to control his power. There must be some way he can learn how to use his power properly." "We understand, Recovery Girl," All Might said. Before he and the siblings left the school, they parted with All Might at the train station as they got on the train to their home. "Hey Himoto," Izuku said shyly. "Yeah, Izuku. Do you have any advice on how I can better control my power?" Himoto thought for a moment, then gave her answer. Actually, yeah. You see, I feel like your power is kinda like my power. Really? Izuku asked, confused. Yeah, you see, when I use my power too much, I get a huge headache. Kinda like when you use too much of your power at once you hurt your body. Are you saying I should start using less power? Yeah, instead of using 100% right off the bat, ease into it. Start at lower percentages. Also, stop treating your power like some on and off switch. When I use my powers, I don't just use my mouth, I use my whole body. I let the energy flow through me. I think you just gave me a great idea, Himoto. Thanks. Don't mention it. I'm just trying to help you become the hero you're meant to be. The two fist bump each other and enjoyed the ride home. When they got there, they told their mother that Izuku had fallen and hurt his fingers, but someone was around to help him. Inko seemed to believe them, so she let them enjoy dinner and go to sleep. The next day, Izuku woke up early and headed to the roof of his apartment building. There he took his sister's advice and let his power flow through his body at low percentages, about 5% power. Green electricity sparked around his body like an aura, and red lines formed around his felt powerful without any pain, so that was a good sign. He then jumped into the air and managed to jump about 10 feet high, without breaking his legs. Izuku realized that this was his next step to mastering OFA. This new technique he developed and would soon master, he dubbed it full cowling. The twins woke up bright and earlier for the big day. This was the day they were training for, the day of the entrance exam. The two had breakfast and said goodbye to their mother. They then got on a train to UA, and had a little talk as they moved. So Himoto, are you feeling ready? Izuku asked. Yeah, with all the training I've done, as well as the combat training we've done together, I think I'll do fine. How about you? You ready to test that new technique of yours? You mean full cowling? Izuku said yeah, I think it's ready to be used in the field now. I've managed to master it to the point where I can turn it on and off pretty quickly. I've also learned that my max output is 5%, but I could go to 6% briefly if I have to. Great, I'm sure you'll get first place, no sweat. Himoto said with a bright smile. I'm not sure about that, but thanks for the support. The two then waited a few minutes before they reached their stop. They then walked to UA. Despite having been there before, the sensation they got was exciting. On their way they ran into Katsuki, who just ignored them. He had more important things to worry about than a weakling and his overprotective sister. The siblings continued walking when suddenly Izuku tripped on a rock and began to fall. But he never hit the ground, in fact he was floating. Sorry for using my quirk on you without permission, a voice said. Izuku looked to see a girl with brunette hair and rosy cheeks. She then straightened him and released him. Oh, it's no big deal, Izuku said, a bit flustered. The girl then wished them luck and waved goodbye as she went into the school. You okay, bro? Himoto asked, looking confused. Why, yeah, I'm fine, Izuku said, pulling himself together. He then rushed into the building while Himoto followed behind him. What was that about? She thought to herself. When the pair got in, they sat as President Mike explained the exams. Izuku mumbled during the speech, which caused him to get scolded by a boy with glasses. After the explanation was over, the students took the written exam and proceeded to the practical exam. Izuku was stretching as he prepared for the test. He had completed the written exam, and it was now time for the practical exam. He and Himoto had been assigned to different battlegrounds, so he had to do this alone. They had wished each other good luck though. He then noticed the brunette from earlier preparing for the test. He wanted to thank her for saving him, but as he approached her he was stopped by the boy who scolded him at the written exam. What are you doing? The boy asked. I just wanted. Izuku was then cut off. That girl is trying to prepare for the exam. Can you not let her focus? Or are you looking to sabotage the young lady? Izuku was about to answer no, but before he did, Present Mike spoke through the speakers. Are you ready? Then go. With those words the gates opened, but no one moved. What are you all waiting for? There are no countdowns in real battles. Go. Everyone suddenly ran into the battleground ready to take out any robot they saw. Izuku activated full cowling 5% and ran into the field at speeds faster than most of the participants. He saw a one-pointer right in front of him and charged right at it. It was about to be destroyed by some blonde boy with a circle on his stomach, but Izuku smashed it before he could do anything. Izuku then went on to find more one-pointers and two-pointers. He came across a person who was struggling with a three-pointer, but Izuku stepped in and destroyed the robot with a few punches. Another three-pointer then appeared behind him, and in shock he briefly went to full cowling 6% and one punched the robot in the head, sending it falling to the ground. Wow, every single percentage I increase makes such a big increase in power, but I can use too much of my energy. There are still a few minutes in the exams. He then ran off to find more enemies. The room was filled with the school staff, including All Might, who was in his weakened form. Looks like we have a promising year ahead of us, a small bear-looking creature said. Yes, most of them have quirks that are quite useful in combat, a tired-looking man said. Some of the male ones are also kinda cute, a woman wearing a very mature outfit said as she stared at the screen with a devious smile. Calm down, Midnight. A man with dog-like features said. Yeah, I think it's time to put these kids to the real test, Principal Nezu. All Might said to the bear-looking creature. Indeed it is, Nezu said as he reached for a big red button. Time to see their true potential. He then pushed the button and all eyes were back on the screen. Izuku just finished taking out a one-pointer robot when the ground suddenly shook. He looked to see everyone running away from a huge robot that was taller than the buildings. He recognized it as the zero-pointer robot from the presentation. He was just about to run away when he heard a scream come from the direction of the robot. Help, a voice said. Izuku looked to see that it was the girl that saved from falling earlier. Without thinking, he ran towards the girl in order to save her. He ran past the boy with glasses who looked at him surprised. What is he doing? The boy though. Izuku reached the girl and with his bare hands lifted the rumble off her. You okay? He asked. I'm fine. Hey, it's you, she said, her eyes slightly widening. Yeah, it is. Now let's get you out here. Izuku tried to help her, but before he could, the girl got a look of horror on her face. Look out, she yelled. Izuku looked to see the zero-pointer standing right over them. It was preparing to throw a punch with its large metal arms. Izuku knew there was one thing he could do that would save them, but it would cost him a finger. Extended his arm towards the robot. He focused all of OFA into his middle finger and used his thumb to flick it. He had used this a couple times during his training with Himoto, but he never gave it a name. Fortunately, he thought of one a few days ago. Izuku flicked his figure with all his might and yelled, Delaware Smash. A large air pressure attack shot from Izuku's hand and hit the robot directly in the center. The force was so strong that it pushed the zero-pointer back and caused it to fall on the ground. Everyone was stunned to see such a display of power, including the staff in the monitor room. Time's up, President Mike said, causing everyone to snap out of thought. All participants make their way to the exit. Those who have injuries stay where you are, help is on the way. With that, Izuku sat on the ground holding his finger, which was now limp. Oh man, I hope Recovery Girl isn't too mad, he thought to himself. Hey, the brunette girl said. Thanks for saving me. Oh me, it was nothing. Izuku once again was at a loss for words. He just had trouble talking to girls. He had talked with some of his sister's friends in middle school, but he had Himoto there to help him. Before he could embarrass himself even more, Recovery Girl showed up and healed his broken finger and the girl's twisted ankle. I told you to stop hurting yourself, Recovery Girl said to Izuku. But I'll let it slide since you did it to save this girl. Once that was done, Izuku left the battleground trying to cover his blushing face. The girl just watched him as he left. Hey, I forgot to ask his name. Well, guess I'll just have to ask when I see him in school. I hope we both get in. I can't believe you beat me again, Izuku said as he lost for the third time against Himoto in Mario Kart. What can I say? You have a lot to learn from me, Himoto teased as she punched Izuku's arm gently. Suddenly Inko came rushing in with 2 letters in her hands, shaken so fast that she fell on the floor. Yo, you too. Your UA letters are here, she exclaimed. Really? Izuku quickly went to help his mother up and grabbed the letters from her. Let's go open them in my room, Himoto. Sure thing, Himoto said as the two went into Izuku's room and opened the letters, only to find a disc instead of papers. You go first, sis, Izuku said. No, I insist, you go, Izuku, Himoto said. No way, you're the reason I had a chance to pass in the first place. You have the honor of going first. Okay, she said as she activated her disc and a hologram video of All Might appeared. Congratulations, Izuku Midoriya. Izuku's eyebrows quirked in confusion. Himoto, however, began to giggle. Gotcha. When you weren't looking, I swapped my letter with yours. So looks like you went first after all. Himoto laughed to herself a bit longer before she and Izuku looked back at the video. All Might continued to talk for a while, but then someone off-screen told him to hurry up since he had more videos to make. Alright, in order to save time, I shall say only the important things. Izuku Midoriya, you managed to gather 31 villain points. Normally that wouldn't be enough to pass. Izuku suddenly felt tears in his eyes. Himoto was about to comfort him, but All Might got their attention back. However, we were not just judging the test by how many enemies you defeated. There was also a secret portion of the test known as rescue points. Any hero can defeat villains, but a true hero chooses to save innocents' lives over fighting villains. You were the perfect example of that during the entire exam, especially when you saved that girl from the zero-pointer. Wait, you destroyed that huge robot. I had one of those in my area, but I just ran. Himoto said, eyes widened. Well, I didn't. I saw someone in trouble and I had to help them. Izuku said. That does sound like something you do, Himoto said as she patted Izuku on the back. They then focused back on the video. Due to your heroic actions, you also accumulated 60 rescue points, putting you at a total of 91 points. The screen suddenly turned into a scoreboard showing the top 10 students. Katsuki Bakugo, 92 points. Izuku Midoriya, 91 points. Ijiro Kirishima, 74 points. Ochako Uraraka, 73 points. Ibara Shosaki, 68 points. Itsuka Kendo, 65 points. Himoto Midoriya, 62 points. Tenya Ada, 61 points. Tetsu, 59 points. Fumikage Takoyami, 57 points. As you can see, you have managed to make it to second place. You should be proud of yourself, young Midoriya. Now that that's said, I would like to welcome you to this Hero Academia. Izuku then began to cry softly. All his hard work had just been paid off more than he was expecting. Stop being such a crybaby, Himoto said in a teasing voice. Look who's talking, Izuku said, looking at his sister have a few tears of her own. But neither of them had tears of sadness. There were tears of joy. They promised to become heroes together and they were already taking their first step. Inko was pacing outside the hallway. She was so nervous about whether her children gotten together or they both failed. Suddenly the door opened and the twins stepped out with bright smiles on their faces. Oh, my babies, she said as she cried and hugged her children tightly. She couldn't be more proud to be their mother. Izuku woke up to the sound of knocking on his door. He went over to open it, and when he did, he saw the bright smile that inspired him to become the person he is today, only now it came with UA uniform. Himoto, what are you doing up so early? We do have to leave until 7. I know, but I'm just so excited, she said with her smile becoming wider. Izuku couldn't help but smile with her. If you want to sleep longer, be my guest. I just want to let you know that good heroes get up before the villains. You're right, Izuku said, trying to sound wide awake. I was just making sure my room is clean. I'll be dressed in a minute. Sure thing, Izuku, Himoto said, not fully believing him, but was willing to overlook it. Soon Izuku was at the table in his new UA uniform. His mother had prepared a spear breakfast for him and his sister. The two ate up the food with pure delight, and when they finished they headed to the door, were about to leave to their new school when their mother stopped them. I'm so proud of you too, Inko said, trying to hold her tears in. I can't believe my babies are going to National Hero School. Inko then leaned in to hug her children as tight as she could. Thanks Mom, Himoto said, sounding a little uncomfortable. Yeah, you can let go now, Izuku said as his mother's hands were now digging into his back. Inko soon realized what she was doing and corrected herself. Sorry guys, got a little carried away. She laughed nervously, but she then smiled and said, take care of each other. We will, they said in unison. They then left out the door and headed to the train station. Once they got there, they got on the train and rode to their destination while talking to each other. Oh, Izuku, Himoto said, causing Izuku to look up from his phone. I wanted to ask, what class are you in? I think it was Class 1A. Izuku said, rubbing the back of his head. Really? Himoto exclaimed, I'm in that class as well. Looks like we'll get to be doing a lot of stuff together, Himoto said, hitting her brother's arm softly. Wow, that sounds awesome, Izuku said. I guess we're just destined to be heroes together. Oh, Izuku, Himoto said with a small blush. You always say that, but now I know it. We're gonna go through this school together and graduate together. I can see it now. Oh, Izuku, Himoto said with a smile on her face. Don't ever change. The twins walked through the hallways of the national school. They were looking for the room for Class 1A. They soon came across it in the form of a large door that was at least twice their height. Wow, what's up with this door? Himoto asked, looking at it up and down. It must be because they need to account for students with certain quirks. Some quirks can make people bigger or wider or even taller, so they need to make sure that everyone can mumble. Izuku would have gone on for who knows how long if Himoto hadn't opened the door to the room, causing him to snap out of his mumbling habit. Get your feet off that desk, a boy with glasses said. Izuku recognized that boy from the entrance exam, but he recognized the person he was speaking to even more. Kaken, Izuku and Himoto said together. Why the hell should I listen to you, Four Eyes? Katsuki said with an angry look. The boy with glasses was taken aback, but he regained his composure and spoke. That is not my name. Of course you don't know because I haven't introduced myself yet. Allow me to fix that mistake. The boy then extended an arm towards Katsuki. Greetings, I am Tenya Ida of the Sumi Private Academy. What is your name? Katsuki just looked at Ida with a smug grin. Sumi, so you're an elite, huh? I'm gonna enjoy wiping the floor with you. Ada was about to say something, but before he could, a certain green-haired girl got between them. Real Kaken, it's the first day and you're already being a total jerk to everyone. I am not looking forward to sharing a class with you, Himoto said with an annoyed tone. Well, if it ain't the salamander. I should have known you'd be here when I saw that Deku on the top 10 chart. After all, that weakling can't last 5 minutes without his precision bodyguard. If he's so weak, how'd he get in? Himoto said with a smug tone. Simple, he cheated, Katsuki said without missing a beat. He did not, Himoto yelled. As the two bickered with each other, Ada stood by and stared at the girl with interest. Who is this girl? Ada thought to himself. I've never seen her before, but she seems so familiar. He then looked towards the door and saw the person he was hoping to run into, the green-haired boy from the entrance exam. He then walked up to the boy and took a bow. Greetings, it's a pleasure to see you again. I never told you my name, so allow me to fix that. My name is Tenya Ida, I know, Izuku said, causing Ada to stand up straight. I heard you say when you were talking to the blonde guy. His name is Katsuki Bakugo. And don't take his attitude personally, he treats everyone like that. I see. Well then, would you mind telling me your name? I'm Izuku Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya. Forgive me for asking. Ada then turned to look at Himoto, and Katsuki's argument intensified. But are you associated with that girl over there? You two seem to be similar to each other. Oh, her, Izuku said, rubbing the back of his head. That's my sister, Himoto. Oh, that makes sense. Ada then turned back to Izuku before bowing once again. Izuku Midoriya, I must say, as a student you are leagues ahead of me. You realized there was more to the test than just fighting, and that's how you got second place. What are you talking about? Izuku said, quirking his eyebrow. The rescue points. You knew about them. That is why you risk everything to save that girl from the zero-pointer. You clearly have the brains of a hero. Izuku was about to dismiss this statement, but before he did, a familiar voice from behind startled him. Hey, I recognize that green hair. Izuku looked to see that it was the girl he saved from the zero-pointer. He had to fight the urge to squeak when he saw how cute she looked in her school uniform. You're the guy who saved me, she said with a smile on her face. I never got to ask what your name was, but now that you're here I can. What's your name? Izuku was once again stutter around a girl. He cursed himself for not being able to control it. I am Izuku, Izuku Midoriya. I'm Achako Uraka, she said with a bubbly tone that would make anyone happy. So Izuku, what do you think we'll be doing today? Besides orientation? Izuku was about to answer, but before he could, another voice came from the door that sent chills down his spine. If you're just here to make friends, you might as well leave now. Everyone turned to see a man in a yellow sleeping bag sipping a juice box. Everyone immediately got quiet and went to their seats, except for Himoto and Katsuki, who took a while to catch on. It took you 15 seconds to quiet down. That is unacceptable. Time is too precious to waste talking to each other, especially for pro heroes. He then got up and walked to the front of the classroom to introduce himself. Hello, I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher. Nice to meet you, sir. Achako said, raising her hand. A quick question, what will we? No time for questions, the man coldly said, causing Achako to shiver. First things first, put these uniforms I have over here on and meet me on the training field outside in 10 minutes. With that he left the room, answering no questions. Everyone just went with the flow and got their gym uniforms and went to the changing rooms. Izuku and Himoto got to the field at the same time for some reason. They shared a quick laugh about it before they noticed their classmates approaching them. Not long after, appeared in front of them. All right, I'll make it simple to understand. We're here because you guys are gonna take a quirk apprehension test. I want to see how much potential you all have, Aizawa said in an unamused tone. What about orientation, sir? Achako asked. If you guys are gonna be pros someday, you need to learn how to separate the important things from the non-important ones, Aizawa said, which seemed to satisfy the class. Okay, so, Aizawa then looked at Katsuki Bakugo, come over here. Katsuki approached the man with a somewhat angry face. Once he was close to him, he was handed a softball. What was your longest softball throw in middle school? Aizawa asked. I don't know, 68 meters maybe, Katsuki said. Okay, now I want you to throw this ball as far as you can, but this time use your quirk, and make sure you stay in the circle. Katsuki's face lit up when he heard this. He always jumped at the chance to show that he was the best. Katsuki agreed and walked into the circle on the ground. Katsuki reeled back his hand, and with all his might, he launched it forward with a powerful explosion while yelling, die. Die. The class thought in unison. Soon the ball landed on the device in Aizawa's hand, then beeped and showed the result. 705.2 meters, he said. The class looked in awe. They didn't know they would have someone with a powerful quirk like this. That was so manly. A boy with red hair said. Wow, a pink-skinned girl said. So we get to use as much as we want. This is gonna be fun. The cheerful mode was then dampened by the serious tone of their teacher. Fun, you say? Well, how fun does this sound? The person who gets last will be immediately expelled from the hero course. What? The class all said, but not together. But that's not fair, Achako said. Yeah, it's only our first day. You can't expel us before we even start, Himoto said. Fair, Aizawa said with a slightly annoyed tone. You think natural disasters are fair? Or how about villain attacks? The world is full of unfairness. It's your duty as pro heroes to combat that unfairness. But if you don't think you're up to it, then save us the trouble and leave. The class suddenly quieted down as they realized that this man wasn't being unfair. He's just being realistic. Aizawa saw his mood change and a small smile came to his face. Glad we're on the same page. Now let's get this show on the road. The students all gained some pretty impressive scores, especially Ida. Thanks to his quirk, this test was practically made for him. He got a total of 3 seconds. Clearly he would win this test. But that didn't stop Izuku or Himoto from trying their best. Himoto got called up along with a girl with frog-like features, whose name was revealed to be Tsuyu Asui when Aizawa called her up. Himoto decided to try out a move she saw some guy with a laser that came from his stomach did. When the teacher said go, Himoto turned around and spat a green blaze of fire from her mouth that propelled her across the field. When she realized that she had crossed the finish line, she stopped and nearly hurt herself when she rolled across the ground. Aizawa then told her how long she took. 5.12 seconds. Everyone was impressed by her creative thinking, especially Aizawa. Way to go, Himoto. Izuku cheered, which caused her to smile. Next up, Izuku, Midoriya, and Katsuki Bakugo. Aizawa said. Izuku gulped a little but regained his composure. He had nothing to fear. It's not like they were gonna fight. He and Katsuki both got into running positions. Before Aizawa could start the test, Izuku activated full cowling 5%. He managed to do it just before Aizawa told them to start. He and Katsuki then took off, with Katsuki using his explosions and Izuku using running as fast as he could. Katsuki was slowly getting ahead of him, and Izuku couldn't let that happen. He needed to get the best score as possible, so he increased his output to 6%, and at the last second he got ahead of Katsuki. Izuku, Midoriya, 4.01 seconds. Katsuki Bakugo, 4.15 seconds. Not bad, you two, Aizawa said. Izuku felt good to be praised, but that feeling was suddenly dosed when he heard the growls of an explosive teen. DISCLAIMER, how did you do that? Since when do you have a quirk? He then charged at Izuku like a wild animal, but was caught by a rope-like object. Everyone looked to see Aizawa using his scarf on Katsuki while looking at him with red glowing eyes, which bothered the class. What's wrong? Why can't I break free? And why isn't my quirk working? Katsuki yelled as he tried to tear and burn the fabric. That is a capture weapon made to hold a lot more than a pissed-off teen, so don't bother. As for your quirk, I simply used my quirk on you. Everyone was confused, but then they began to recognize the man. The tired looks, the costume, and now the quirk. You're Eraserhead, Izuku said in both shock and excitement. The underground hero. Yeah, calm yourself. Back to business. Katsuki, this outburst is unacceptable. Do it again and you'll be the one getting expelled, Aizawa said with annoyance in his voice. Katsuki could just grind his teeth as he walked back to the group. That damn nerd, he thought to himself. Was he hiding a quirk all along? Over 540 kilograms, Aizawa said as the boy with multiple arms referred to as Mizo Shoji finished pulling the machine. Great job. No fair. He has like 6 arms, a short boy with grape-looking hair said. Of course he would be one to complain since he got the weakest score on this test so far. That totally beats my score of 56.3 kilograms, Himoto said, looking defeated. Don't worry sis, you still did great on the dash, Izuku said, trying to comfort her. Next up, Izuku, Midoriya, Aizawa said. Izuku's face became determined as he approached the grip machine. When he put his hands on the lever he activated full cowling 5%. But after seeing such a display of power from Shoji, Izuku decided to go over his limits. Izuku pushed the output of OFA to the most he could handle, 8%. He then squeezed with all his might, and after a few seconds the device beeped rapidly. Izuku let go, while fighting to stand up since using that output clearly drained his stamina. Over 999 kilograms, Aizawa said with a bit of shock in his voice. Most impressive. The class just looked in awe, and some even praised Izuku for his incredible strength. Nice job, dude, a boy with a black thunderbolt in his blonde hair exclaimed. So strong, a girl with pink skin exclaimed. So manly, a boy with spiky red hair exclaimed. Not fair, the grape-haired boy from before whined. Way to go, bro, Himoto said, fist bumping Izuku as he returned to her side. Wow, I can't believe I was able to do that with only 8% power, Izuku thought to himself. OFA is more powerful than I thought. The sooner I master it, the better. In the end, Izuku managed to get the top score on the test. Side note, Izuku was able to lift a steel I-beam with one hand at 8% power. Surely using both hands would be able to go over a metric ton. Looks like that Asui girl has this in the bag, Himoto said to Izuku. Yeah, from what I've seen her quirk allows her to jump far. This test was made for her, Izuku said. The test went on and everyone managed to jump over the sand pit. Izuku managed to just barely make it using full cowling 5%. He considered using more power, but after the grip test, he knew that he hadn't to keep his energy up for the remaining tests. Last up was Himoto. Here it goes, Himoto said as she did what she did during the 50-meter dash and shot her flames from her mouth. Only this time she made herself go a bit higher. She easily cleared the sandpit. When it was time to land, however, she more or crash landed. Great job, Himoto, Izuku said as he ran over to help her up. This girl is creative, that's for sure, Aizawa thought to himself. And if I'm not mistaken, her files state that she and that Izuku kid are twins. But she seems to have more experience than him. Wonder what that's about. Infinity. How interesting, Aizawa said as the ball Ochako threw disappeared from into the sky. Her quirk allowed her to remove the weight of things, so using it on the ball and throwing it gently worked out perfectly for her. Wow, talk about overkill, Himoto said with a bit of jealousy in her voice. Relax, Himoto, you got over 178. 2 meters, and in cool way too. The way you used your fire to blast it kinda like what Kaken did was pretty smart, Izuku said with a comforting smile. Yeah, I guess, she said feeling reassured. Last person for this test. Izuku Midoriya. Izuku once again got a look of determination in his eyes. He took the ball from Aizawa and stood in the circle. He then activated full cowling 5%. Or he tried to, but nothing happened. What's going on? He thought, what can't I? Oh, one more thing. Izuku looked to see Aizawa with his eyes red and hair standing up, meaning he was using his quirk on him. I know you've been holding back this whole time. I saw what you did at the entrance exam, and I want to see it again for myself. But using that breaks my finger, Izuku said. So, that's why we have Recovery Girl. You can see her after this is over. Now show me what you got, Aizawa said, almost demanding. Wait, he's been holding back this whole time. The class though in unison, except Himoto for obvious reasons. Izuku got into a throwing position and prepared to throw the ball. He reeled his arm back and launched it forward. And at the last second he put 100% in his finger and used it to throw the ball into the sky. There was big air pressure that blew at the students and Aizawa, and everyone watched the ball go high into the sky. Soon the device in Aizawa's hand beeped and he showed the score to everyone. 705.3 meters. The spiky red hair boy said. How? The girl with pink skin said with wide eyes. The rest of the class were again amazed at Izuku's display of power. All except Katsuki, of course. What the fuck? He thought to himself. He got a better score than me. What is going on here? The rest of the test was pretty uneventful. Besides step jumps, both Izuku and Himoto did decently on it. The boy with the grape hair, who they learned was called Minta, managed to do the best on the test using the balls from his head to bounce side to did great in the distance run. The sit-up and toe touch test were all done well by everyone since their quirks weren't really a big factor in them. Okay, time for the final results, Aizawa said. The class got worried at the thought of being last, some of them anyway. Aizawa then showed the class the results. Rankings: Momoye Urazu, Shoto Todoroki, Izuku Midoriya, Katsuki Bakugo, Tenya Ida, Fumikage Takoyami, Mizo Shoji, Meshurao Ajiro Kirishima, Mina Ashido, Ochako Uraraka, Rikido Sato, Suiwa Sui, Himoto Midoriya, Yuga Aoyama, Hanta Siro, Denki Kaminari, Kyoka Jiro, Toru Hagakure, Minoru Minta. Everyone was relieved for not getting last, except Minta, who began to cry and begged to retake the test. Oh, calm down, you crybaby, Aizawa said with a bit of annoyance in his voice. I'm not expelling anyone. I just said that to make you all do your best. Minta breathed a sigh of relief, while Momo stated how obvious the ruse was. Now that that's done, you're all free to go. Make sure you grab your syllabus on my desk before you leave. See you all tomorrow. With that, Aizawa left and everyone went to change and leave. Although Deku went to go see Recovery Girl first, Aizawa ran into All Might when he turned a corner. Thought I sensed someone watching, he said with bored tone. Your class sure looks promising, doesn't it? He said with his trademark smile. Yeah, they certainly have potential. But if you're thinking I have a favorite or something, you're wrong as usual. Glad to see you're in a good mood, All Might said with a bit of smug in his voice. Just go home, Tashinoro. Or go save Cat from a tree with that smile of yours. I honestly don't care. Eyes with a left, and All Might soon went to the teacher's lounge. After Izuku got healed, he met Himoto near the front gate. She gave him his syllabus and the twins left for home. Excuse me, a voice said behind them. They turned to see Ida run to them. Oh hey, you're Ida, right? Izuku asked. Yes, I am. I hope I'm not bother you two, but I was hoping I could accompany you two to the train station. I wish to make conversation with you two in order to learn more about you. Sure. The twins sweat drop. They had no idea what he said, but they were pretty sure he meant he wanted to walk with them so he could talk to them. Just then they heard another voice approach them. Hey guys, wait up. They all looked to see Uraraka running to them. Oh hey Ochako, Izuku said. Hey Izuku, and, you're Ida, right? Ochako said. That is correct. Nice to meet you, Ida said with a bow. Ochako then looked at Himoto. I think Mr. Aizawa called you. Himoto, that's me, Himoto said with a cheerful grin. It's Himoto Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Ochako. Uraraka. Ochako finished for her. Ochako Uraraka. She then got a puzzled look on her face. Wait, Midoriya, why do you have the same last name as Izuku? Oh, 'cause we're twins, Himoto said without missing a beat. Isn't obvious, she said pointing to her and then Izuku. Ochako looked back and forth between them. She realized that Himoto basically looked like a girl version of Izuku. Their hair was the same color. It was also messy looking. They had freckles and green eyes. Himoto was taller than Izuku though, but by only an inch. Oh, now I see it, Ochako said, looking a little embarrassed. Sorry, I can be so clueless. It's no big deal, Himoto said. Want to walk with us? Sure. That's why I came looking for you guys after all, Ochako squeaked with excitement. The group of 4 then made their way to the train station. Along the way, Ochako spoke up again. So, I think I got the names down, she said with a cheery tone. Himoto, Ida, and Izuku. Or was it Deku? Izuku and Himoto flinched at hearing that name. Why would think that's my name? Izuku asked. Because that's what that Bakugo guy called you. Why, that's not your name. No, it's not, Himoto said before Izuku could answer. Deku is a name. Insult that Bakugo calls him to make fun of him because he thinks Izuku is useless. That is completely unacceptable, Ida said, shocking everyone. That Bakugo is very unsportsmanlike. Oh, well, sorry for calling you that. But if I'm being honest, I like that name. Really? The twins asked in unison. Yeah, it gives me a vibe of do your best. Plus I think it's kinda cute. You can call me Deku if you want, Izuku quickly said, causing Ida and Himoto to look in confusion. Really? Okay, Ochako said cheerfully. Why would he want to be called that? Himoto thought to herself. Last I checked he hated that name. She then noticed that he was acting nervous just like he was when they first met her. She then realized what his problem was, and a mischievous grin appeared on her face. Didn't you say that name was an insult? Ida asked, confused. It was, Himoto said, causing the others to look at her. But something tells me the meaning of that name is about to change, Himoto said with a teasing voice as she saw her brother hide his blushing face. The 4 new friends made their way to the train station after their first day of high school. They knew they would face challenges along the way. What they didn't realize was that those challenges would come sooner than they thought. Welcome back. Thanks for your patience. I will now update 3 new chapters this month. If you haven't, read the first 3. I know this might be annoying, but I'm going to say this every chapter. This is based on a what if I saw on a YouTube channel called Noah Story. Make sure to subscribe to his channel and help him reach 10K. This chapter will be about the battle training, so get ready to see people get knocked senseless. Thanks for the support and likes. Let's begin. Chapter 4. Deku is a hero's name. Izuku and Himoto rode on the train to school while looking over their syllabus. Today was their first real day at UA and they were discussing their classes together. So what do you think we'll do for hero class? Himoto asked. Probably rescue training, Izuku said. Or maybe battle training, Himoto said, looking excited. In the first class? I doubt it, Izuku said, making Himoto's hopes drop. Oh, but I want to do battle training. I mean, recuse is important, but you know me. I've always liked heroes fighting the villains. Yeah, I know, but remember, there's more to being a hero than just fighting. I know, Himoto said, looking a bit down. Personally, I'm looking forward to lunch. I heard that the food is prepared by a pro hero, Izuku said, starting to get excited. Yeah, that place is filled with pros. I still can't believe me and you are actually going there together, Himoto said. Believe Himoto, Izuku said, looking at his sister. We made a promise when we were kids to do this together, and I don't plan on breaking that promise anytime soon. Thanks, Izuku, Himoto said, fist bumping her brother. After they went through their normal classes, as well as lunch where they ate food prepared by the Pro Hero Lunch Rush, the twins sat in their classroom awaiting for their teacher to explain what they'll be doing today. Suddenly the door opened, and a booming voice spoke from the outside. I am Ichigari. Like a normal person. That's when All Might came through with his Silver Age costume on. Holy crap, it's All Might, the red-haired boy, whose name was Ijiro Kirishima said. So he is teaching here. The pink-skinned girl whose name was Mina Ashido said. And he's wearing his Silver Age costume. Tsuyu said. Greetings Class 1A. I am proud to tell you that I will be assisting with your hero class today. As for what we will be doing, well, read this card. All Might then held up a card for the class to see. They read it and most of the class cheered on excitement, while a few got a bit nervous. The card said battle training. Yeah, Katsuki said. Now I'll get to kick some ass. That's not the point of battle training, Bakugo. Himoto's sweat dropped. She then shook her head and a smile appeared on her face. But I'll be honest. I am looking forward to fighting one of our new classmates. How about you, Izuku? She turned towards Izuku. Yeah, I guess, Izuku said without a lot of enthusiasm. Now, first things first. A big part of being a hero is looking good while doing it. All Might joked before pressing a button that revealed 20 suitcases. And these suitcases are your hero costume that the support department made when you turned in your paperwork. Put these on and meet me in ground beta in 10 minutes. See you there. With that, All Might left the room. The class quickly got up, grabbed their suitcases and headed for the locker room to change. Greetings, young Midoriya, All Might said as Izuku walked out of the doors for All Might to see him. Oh, hey All Might, Deku said. Your costume seems a bit familiar, All Might said, looking up and down at Izuku. He was wearing a green full-body jumpsuit, with beige gloves, black kneecaps that reached from his shin to his thigh, a metal respirator and hood that he chose not to wear, and a pair of red sneakers and red belt with pouches around his waist. "Oh yeah, I based it off of your costume a little bit. I hope you don't mind," Izuku said. "Of course not. I'm just a little amused, but I respect your costume," All Might said, trying to suppress a laugh in his mouth. "I think it looks great," a feminine voice said from behind them. They turned to see Himoto approaching them, in a hero costume similar to Izuku's. They matched in each other in terms of color. However, Himoto's suit was made of a fire-resistant material. She had beige gloves and boots, as well as a beige belt with pouches. She also had a black sleeveless jacket over her jumpsuit to make it more unique from her brother. Her suit had flammable points that she could use to carry her fire in battle. And she had a black mask with lenses to protect her eyes from fire and bright lights fire tends to make. "Your outfit looks great as well, Himoto," Izuku said, looking up and down at her. "Thanks, but it's thanks to you. Good thing we decided to use our notes together," Himoto said. "Yeah," Izuku said. "Wow, your costumes look great," a new voice said from down the entrance. The twins turned to see Ochako approaching them. "Your costume looks great too, right, Izuku?" Himoto said in a teasing voice. Why yeah," Izuku squeaked out as his face turned slightly red. "Thanks, but it didn't come how I expected. They got the design right, but it's a little skin tight. I should have been more specific. But look at you guys. Now people will know you're twins when you're civilians and heroes," she said, pointing at them. "Thanks, Ochako," Himoto said, "and don't feel so bad. My suit kinda rides up on me as well," she said, pulling the fabric on her arms. "I love this school," a voice said besides them. They turned to see Mineta in his hero costume, which was basically a purple and yellow cape, ogling Himoto and Ochako. Before Izuku could do anything, Himoto shot a flame from her mouth straight at Mineta, forcing him to dodge it barely. "Nice move, sis," Izuku said, smirking. "Thanks," Himoto said. Soon all the other classmates showed up and started talking about their costumes. Many praised Izuku and Himoto for their matching outfits. Once everyone was gathered, All Might explained the lesson. "This lesson is simple. You will get in pairs of 2 and fight as either heroes or villains. The heroes must win by apprehending the villains or recovering the fake bomb inside the building. The villains win if the heroes are defeated or time runs out. Now let us begin. Draw from these slots and locate your partner." Excuse me, sir," Ida said, raising his hand. "Not to be rude, but why must we draw from lots? Why not choose our partners ourselves?" "Because that's not how real problems work." Everyone looked at Izuku, who suddenly spoke up. He got a little nervous at the attention but kept speaking. "Why, you see, real heroes can't always pick and choose their partners. They have to work with who's around. This will help us adapt to real situations better than choosing our partners." "That is correct. Good job, young Midoriya." People looked at Izuku impressed, as well as a certain girl with a ponytail. "He's smart, I'll give him that." "Good point. Excuse my interruption," Ida said. "All is forgiven. Now let us proceed." With those words, everyone drew from the lot and found their partners. The resulting team were: Team A, Izuku Midoriya, Ochako Uraraka. Team B, Meizo Shoji, Shoto Todoroki. Team C, Minoru Mineta, Momoge Urazu. Team D, Katsuki Bakugo, Tenya Ida. Team E, Mina Ashido, Yuga Aoyama. Team F, Himoto Midoriya, Rikido Sato. Team G, Denki Kaminari, Kyoka Jiro. Team H, Fumikage Takoyami, Tsuyu Asui. Team I, Mashurao Ajiro, Toru Hagakure. Team J, Hantasiro, Ijiro Kirishima. "Cool, we get to work together, Deku," Ochako exclaimed. "Why yes, see cool," Izuku stuttered while blushing. "I can't wait to tease him for this." Himoto though, as she saw them talking. "Now time to announce the matches," All Might said. The matches were as followed. Battle 1, Team A vs Team D. Battle 2, Team B v Team I. Battle 3, Team H vs Team J. Battle 4, Team G vs Team C. Battle 5, Team E vs Team F. "Oh crap," Izuku thought to himself as he locked eyes with Katsuki. He knew they would be fighting, but he didn't think so soon. "I'm gonna enjoy this," Katsuki said to himself with an evil smirk. "This is gonna get interesting." Himoto thought to herself. "All non-participates, head to the monitor room where we will observe the battles. Team A, take this map of the building and use it to prepare. Team D, head inside and prepare your plan. You have 10 minutes. All Might said, then left to the monitor room with most of the students following. "Let's head to the building, Deku," Ochako said cheerfully. "Why yeah," Izuku said a bit nervously. "I think I got the layout figured out," Ochako said, looking at the map. "We should just go floor by floor until we find it." "If you think so," Izuku said, still a bit nervous. "By the way, Deku, before we go, I was wondering, since I told you about my quirk, wanna tell me about yours?" "Why yeah, sure," Izuku said. He knew he couldn't tell her what his actual quirk was, but he could tell her the excuse quirk he and All Might came up with. "And my quirk is superpower. It allows me to enhance my strength, speed, and other physical abilities depending on how much power I use. Although I can only use it at low percentages right now, so I can't become too powerful, Izuku said as honestly as he could. Wow, Ochako said with a beaming smile. Your quirk is awesome. I bet you could take out Ida and Bakugo by yourself. Glad she didn't ask why I can only use low percentages. Izuku thought to himself. Thanks, but I actually have a better idea than that. Izuku said. What is it, Deku? Ochako asked, giving him her full attention. As you can tell, Ma and Kachin have a weird relationship. I'm pretty sure he's gonna ditch Eda and come straight for me. When he does, I'll take him on alone while you go after the bomb. That sounds like a good plan, Ochako said. But I don't think I can't beat Ida alone, especially since I already told him about my quirk at lunch today. Don't worry, Ochako, Izuku said, trying to sound reassuring. I'll join you as soon as I'm done. Okay then, let's do it your way, Ochako said with a smile. Thanks, Izuku stuttered. Before either could say more, they heard All Might on the earpieces were given. Time for planning is up. Let the battle commence. This caught the two off guard, but they regained themselves and proceeded into the building. Izuku and Ochako searched the building floor by floor like they agreed to. So far they had no luck, but with only a few floors left, they were bound to find it any time now. We better hurry, Deku, Ochako said. I think we're almost at the halfway point. I know, Izuku said without looking toward her. But don't worry, we've almost searched the whole building. And this floor is clear, so the bomb must be on the next one or top one. Shouldn't be long before we get down. Izuku pulled her away from a corner she was standing next to just in time for her to miss an explosion. What was? Ochako started but stopped when she saw Katsuki standing there in his hero costume with an angry look on his face. That was a cheap shot, Kakin, Deku said, looking at the explosive teen with determination. Shut up, Deku, he shouted back. Just get ready to have your ass handed to you, just like it always had been. Deku flinched a little bit, but pulled himself together and said without turning his head. Ochako, this floor is clear. Head to the staircase and check the other two. When you find the bomb, see if you can get a hold of it. If you can't, let me know on the earpiece and I'll come as soon as I can. Ochako was a bit shocked by his sudden change in mood, but responded with got it. Be careful, Deku. She then headed to the staircase as Izuku and Katsuki stared each other down. Think you can take me alone, huh? Katsuki asked with a smug tone. Don't make me laugh. You could never beat me before. Not without your guardian of a sister. My sister is like a guardian to me, but I don't need her to handle you, not anymore, Izuku said, trying to sound confident. Oh, why's that? Because you got some stupid quirk now, Katsuki said, preparing to attack again. Guess again, Deku. You may not be quirkless anymore, but you're still useless. With those words, Katsuki launched at high speeds toward Izuku. He prepared a right hook to start his onslaught. But that's when Izuku dodged and countered his attack by grabbing his arm and slamming him into the ground. Wow, Kakin, talk about predictable. I know you always start your attacks with a right hook, but you clearly didn't realize that. Katsuki was shocked. He had just been put on the ground by Deku. He was not gonna stand for this. Damn you, Deku. You got one lucky shot. But now I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. He then launched at Izuku again. This time, however, Izuku activated full cowling 5%. Katsuki threw a punch, but Izuku easily blocked it. He then threw his own punch, but his was blocked as well. Looks like 5% won't be enough, Izuku thought to himself. But I'm not gonna give up. Hey Kakin, this is it. This is the moment I show you. Deku is not the name of a weakling anymore. From now on, Deku is a hero's name, Izuku said as his cyan electric aura surrounded him. Whatever, let's get this over with, Katsuki said as he threw another punch at Izuku. He dodged it but had to dodge again. Then again, and multiple other times. Katsuki clearly wasn't holding back. Fortunately, neither was he. Izuku grabbed Kataki by the arm once again and threw him into the wall. Kataki winced in pain as he tried to regain his balance. Deku, come in, Deku, a voice said from Izuku's earpiece. Ochako, Izuku said. I found the bomb, but Ida has it pretty secure. I peeked in the room the bomb is in and I noticed there aren't any objects for me to use my quirk on. Ida must have gotten rid of them. I might need your help. Sorry, Ochako, I'm still busy with Kakin, but I don't think he'll last much longer. Izuku didn't really mean that. He knew Kataki well enough to know that he never went down easy. After regaining himself, Kataki lunged at Izuku again. Izuku realized he had to finish this as fast as possible, so he decided to get serious. SMASSH, Izuku yelled as he threw a punch right at Katsuki. Kataki blocked it with his arms, but the impact sent him flying backwards into the wall. Katsuki was surprised at the display of power. It was clear he was gonna have to need more power for this situation. Suddenly, his grenade gauntlets made a click, which caused a smirk to spread across his face. Yo Deku, you want to prove yourself to me? Let's see how well you handle this, Katsuki said as he aimed his gauntlet toward Izuku. The glow it was emitting was a clear sign that it was not good for him. Young Bakugo, stop this at once. That attack looks like it could be lethal. All Might shouted through the speakers. Don't worry. He'll be just fine as long as he dodges like the coward he is. Katsuki with an evil smirk. Izuku got a bad feeling, but then he had a great idea. Ochako, listen to me. Izuku said as quickly as he could. When you hear a loud boom, head straight for the bomb, okay? A loud boom. Ochako said confused. What are you? Okay. Izuku said, leaving no room for argument. Oh, okay. Ochako said, surprised by Izuku's tone. With a pull of a pin, Kadaki shouted die. As a huge fire blast came from his gauntlet, Izuku almost dodged, but that would ruin the plan. Putting his hand up, he put 100% power into his middle finger and flicked it with his thumb, all while shouting, Delaware SMASSH. The fire blast stopped completely and then started heading back to its source. Katsuki watched in horror as his fire was heading straight for him. He tried to block the attack, but it was far too much for him. A huge hole was made into the side of the building and Kadaki came flying out and landed on top of another building, where he laid there unconscious. When the smoke cleared, Izuku looked at what he had done. Ignoring the pain in his finger, he thought to himself, did I do that? Whoa, what was that? Kaminari said. Whatever it was awesome. Kirishima said, hey, that's your brother, right? Mina asked Himoto. Guilty as charged. Himoto said smugly. Wow. Jiru said to Yaoyorozu. That Izuku guy sure is strong, isn't he? Yes, and from what I've seen he also seems smart. Momo said out loud, then thought to herself, he seems like an interesting person. After a few more moments of processing, Izuku shook his head and got back to the plan. No time to waste, I need to go help. Just as he started moving towards the staircase, All Might spoke into the speakers. The bomb has been captured. The hero team wins. What? Izuku said, then ran as fast as he until he came across the room where the bomb was. There he saw Ochako leaning against the bomb and Ida wallowing in defeat. Darts, he said in a villainous tone. How could I be bested by do-gooders so easily? Is he? Izuku's sweat dropped. He's been doing that the whole time. Ochako said, holding back a laugh. He realizes it's over, right? Let him have a little more fun. Ochako said, so, you got the bomb win. Izuku was then cut off when the huge explosion came and caused Ida to get ya. Ochako said, I didn't think you understood what I said. I was about to come help you myself. No, I heard what you said. It took me a while to process it, but looks like I did just in time. Totally. Now, what about your finger? Ochako asked, looking at Izuku's limp finger. I'll take care of it. A voice said from the room door. They looked to see Recovery Girl. Then I'll take care of you, young man, she said with a hint of anger. Yes, Recovery Girl, Izuku said, feeling slightly defeated. Once Recovery Girl had healed Izuku's finger, she went to collect Katsuki and bring him to the nurse's office. The three students returned to the monitor room, where Izuku was swarmed by nearly everyone. Dude, that attack was so manly, Kirishima exclaimed. Yes, quite flashy, I might say. Aoyama said, by the way, my name is Yuge. Hi, I'm Mina, the pink-skinned girl said. Mina Ashido, I just want to say, your quirk is amazing. Izuku was taken aback. He never thought he would be this popular in his life. That's when Himoto stepped between them. All right, people, give the guy some space, and give some credit to his partner too. She touched the bomb after all, Himoto said, looking towards Ochako. Yes, everyone calm down, All Might said, getting everyone's attention back. Now can anyone tell me who the MVP is here? That would obviously be Midoriya, Momo said. Everyone looked at the girl in the highly revealing costume. He knew that Bakugo would come straight for him and not his partner, so he told her to go on while he took care of Bakugo. Then when Bakugo was about to unleash his ultimate attack, he not only countered it with his own, but he informed his partner of it so she could use it to her advantage. That is correct. Great job, young Yaoyorozu, All Might said while thinking to himself. She said more than I was going to say. No wonder she got recommended here. All Might then cleared his throat. So, let us begin with the next round. Team B and I, make your way to the field at once. The teams then headed to the field and Izuku walked toward Himoto. You were awesome out there, Izuku, Himoto said with a smile. You even managed to defeat that bastard Bakugo. Thanks, Himoto, but I didn't technically beat him. I just used his own attack against him. I didn't defeat him with my own moves. Sure, Izuku, you did a great job anyway. The twins fist bumped each other as they looked at the monitor screen to watch the remaining battles. Hagakure and Ajiro had finished thinking of a plan to keep the heroes away from the bomb. Suddenly the air got cold, then the floor and walls were encased in ice, trapping both the feet. Not long after, Todoroki came walking and looking bored. Looks like you were right, Shoji, the bomb is here. Although I'm a little disappointed about the lack of resistance. The villain team tried to stop him, but Hagakure couldn't break loose, neither could Ajiro, even with his tail. Todoroki gently touched the bomb and All Might announced the hero team as the winner. Todoroki then touched an ice wall and all the ice immediately melted. Everyone who was watching were impressed by his ice-controlling quirk, especially Izuku. His quirk is really strong. He might make a good rival. Isui scaled the building from the outside and located the bomb through a window. She then used her tongue to pull Fumikage up and the two burst into the room to find Kirishima alone. Zero, get back here quick. They came through the... He was cut off when Fumikage used his quirk Dark Shadow to attack Kirishima. He tried to throw the shadow out of his way, but the shadow was far too quick. It was like fighting a ninja. Zero arrived just in time to see Isui jump onto the bomb, declaring the hero team the winner. After using her quirk to locate where the villain team was, Jiru and Kaminari made their way to the floor. When they got there, however, Jiru stepped on some sort of ball and her foot became stuck. Huh, it worked, Minta said as he jumped from behind a pillar. You can't get out of the until 10 minutes pass. We'll definitely win now. You forgot about me, dude, Kaminari said as he walked towards the short boy. But I didn't, a feminine voice said. Suddenly Kaminari was covered in a cloak and pinned to the ground by Yaoyorozu. Huh, you think this can hold me? I'll just, Kaminari said as he unleashed a burst of electricity. But Yaoyorozu didn't move at all. Don't bother, this is an electric-proof cloth. You're useless in it, Yaoyorozu said. Kaminari's face went wide in shock. How did you know my weakness? The only person I've told that to since I got here is Minta. Hehe, sorry dude, but I need to look good in front of the ladies, especially one with a cup size like hers, Minta said, ogling at Yaoyorozu. He was then hit with a wooden paddle. Stay away from me, you pervert, Yaoyorozu exclaimed. All Might then spoke through the speakers. Well, both heroes are caught, so the villain team wins. Mina and Aoyama were walking through the hallway looking for the bomb room. As they turned a corner, a green fire flew towards them. They ducked under it, but the fire did a boomerang turn and hit Aoyama in the back, causing his cape to catch fire. Ah, my beautiful costume, he exclaimed as he rolled on the floor. Get off the floor, we need to stay. Mina stopped herself in order to dodge another fire blast. Nice reflexes, Himoto said as she emerged from the shadows. Ready to get serious? Totally, Mina said as she created an acid path and slid across it. Himoto, however, shot a large blast of fire from her mouth. Mina managed to dodge, but failed to notice the fist headed towards her gut. Mina tried to regain herself but was suddenly pinned to ground by Himoto, who held a flame in her hand. It's over, she said. Not yet, there's still. I got him. Mina looked at the voice and saw Sato holding Aoyama. Forgive me, mademoiselle, Aoyama said. Okay, it over, she deadpanned. And the villain team wins, All Might said through the speakers. With that, the battles are over. All students who don't need medical attention, head to the locker rooms and change back into your uniforms. Then head back to your homeroom. With that, everyone went to change and headed back to class. Once there, Izuku and Himoto were both swarmed by nearly the whole class. You guys are awesome, Mina said. Yeah, I bet you guys would make an awesome team. Sati said. We're already a team, right, Izuku? Himoto said. Yeah, ever since we were kids, he stated with a smile. Settle down, class, Aizawa said in a monotone voice. Pay attention, or else I'll give you homework on the first day. Everyone immediately ran to their desk and listened to Aizawa. With a look of satisfaction, he discussed their performance and then dismissed them for the day. Izuku and Himoto walked with Ida and Ochako discussing how well they did. That's when Izuku spotted Kadaki walking alone not too far from them. Hey guys, give me a sec, Izuku said as he left the group. Izuku, where are you? Himoto then saw Kadaki. Oh great, she said to herself. Kakin, Izuku called out as he approached the explosive teen. You did great out there, he said, trying to sound sincere. That special move of yours sure is powerful. If you had more training you could. Shut up, Kadaki said in a surprisingly calm tone. This was enough to cause Izuku to stop and listen. Without turning his head, Katsuki spoke again. I don't know how that quirk of yours showed up, or how you got so powerful so quickly, and I don't care. You're still a useless Deku. And before you start bragging about it, you didn't beat me today, not for real anyway. When we do have a real battle, I'll defeat you with ease. That will remind you of who you really are. Until then, stay the hell away from me. Kadaki walked away without saying another word. With nothing left to do, Izuku returned to his friends. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you just talk to Bakugo without any yelling involved? Himoto said with a surprised look. No, you're right, Himoto, but something tells me Kakin is gonna start doing more than just yelling very soon. If he does, I'll be there for you, just like I always have. Thanks, sis. Let's get to the station now. Izuku and the others began to walk towards the train station. As Himoto and Ochako started talking about their performances, Izuku thought to himself, I appreciate you looking out for me, Himoto, but I think it's time I start learning how to start fighting my own battles. Character bio. Name, Ochako Uraraka. Quirk, zero gravity. Quirk usage. She can remove the gravity from any object she touches, but if she uses it on something very heavy, she risks getting nauseous. And done. Thanks for coming back to read this after a short break. I hope you all enjoyed the battles. They were fun to write. Next chapter will be a bit of a filler, since we'll see the class choose the class representative and head for the USJ, but no fighting yet. Make sure to leave a like and comment, and I'll see you guys then. P.S. Will anyone, leave a review please? Until I start getting reviews, there will be no updates. Thank you. Izuku and Himoto were walking on the path to UA. Himoto was very excited for some reason. What's up with you, sis? Izuku asked. Oh, nothing. Just can't wait to do more combat training. Hope I get to go against that hothead Bakugo. I don't think we're gonna have combat training again. They'll probably give us something else. You don't know that. The teachers could probably put us on one-on-one battles. I already have a great scenario, heroes and villains. Himoto suddenly stopped while standing still. Himoto, what's? Izuku looked ahead and saw what she saw. Countless reporters were in front of the entrance. It looked like they were trying to get past the entrance and enter the main building. What's going on? Why are they? Look, students, a reporter said, pointing at the twins. The next thing they knew, they were surrounded by journalists and cameramen. Suddenly, a woman worked her way through the crowd and asked the siblings a question. You too, what's it like learning under All Might? All Might, the twins thought together. Now it made sense. You must be learning a lot from the #1 pro. Could you tell us what exactly you're learning? Izuku grabbed Himoto and started guided her through the crowd. Sorry, we can't talk about that stuff. We have to get to class. They eventually got through the entrance and headed for class. Get back here, the reporter lady said. I'm not done talking. As she approached the entrance, it was sealed off with a metal gate. The woman fell back in fear as the rest of the campus was put on lockdown. Well, that solves that, Izuku thought to himself. Ignoring the crowd outside, class began and went on as usual, up until Mr. Aizawa made an announcement. Attention! The class suddenly stopped talking and focused on Aizawa. First off, I want to say good job on yesterday's training. You all did very good for your first test. Thought some of you could use a bit of more practice, and I don't mean with your quirks, I mean with your attitudes, Aizawa said as he glanced at Bakugo, causing him to scoff and Himoto to giggle quietly. But enough about yesterday, Aizawa said. Time to discuss today's events. The class was suddenly grazed with nervousness. What would their strict teacher pull out today? Another quirk assessment test. Another threat of expulsion. You will be choosing a class representative today, Aizawa said. The class suddenly sighed in relief. And not long after, everyone was raising their hands while saying how they would be fit for the role. Calm down, Aizawa said, which made the class stop. We can only have one representative. Does anyone have an idea on how to select one? I do, sir. The class all turned to see Ida raising his hand. Why don't we have a voting system? That's a good idea, Ida, Aizawa said. You will each write down the name of who you wish to be the representative. And to make it fair, you will not be allowed to vote for yourself. Everyone okay with that? Feeling that this was the best course of action, the class agreed. So Aizawa passed out sheets of paper for everyone to write on. Once everyone write their vote and put it in the box, Aizawa went through the votes and counted who got the most. Okay, the votes are in. Aizawa looked at the class and spoke. The winner is Izuku Midoriya with 3 votes, while the runner-up goes to both Himoto Midoriya and Momo Yaoyorozu with 2 votes. Would those two come up, I have a way to break the tie. Himoto and Momo went up to the front of the class where Aizawa flipped a coin in order to break the tie. The winner ended up being Himoto. Okay then, the president is Izuku Midoriya, while the vice president is Himoto Midoriya. Hey, that means the class is led by one family, Kirishima said. Man, they're so lucky. Kaminari said. Yeah, I guess we are, Izuku said, rubbing the back of his head. Okay, Aizawa said, getting the class's attention back. Now that that's done, we will begin with normal activities. Izuku and Himoto went back to their seats and waited for further instructions, all while Izuku thought to himself, can I really do this? Izuku was sitting by himself at a table. He was about to eat his gourmet ramen when a feminine voice spoke. Hey Deku, can we sit with you? Izuku looked up to see Ochako and Ida. Oh, hey guys. Yeah, you can sit with me. It's not like Himoto is gonna come anytime soon. Where is Himoto anyway? Ida asked. She's over there. Izuku pointed to the table where Himoto was sitting with Mina Ashido and Tsuyu Sui. So Mina said, how's it feel to be representatives with your bro? Well, it's not too weird, Himoto said. We've always done a lot of things together. Me and Izuku are kinda inseparable. You two are the best people to lead the class, Ribbit. Sue said, that's why I voted for Izuku and Mina voted for you. Really? Himoto said, looking slightly embarrassed. Thanks, and I bet the other person that voted for me was Izuku himself. Yeah, you could be right, Mina said, looking over where Izuku was. Your brother sure is a nice guy. I'll bet he had a bunch of girls chasing him back in middle school. Himoto said, rubbing her arm. I wouldn't be too sure of that. Izuku has always been shy when it's come to girls. But what? Mina and Sue asked simultaneously. Don't tell her I said this, but I think one of my best friends from middle school has a crush on him. The three students saw Mina squeal in excitement from across the cafeteria. They didn't know what Himoto said, but it was surely something interesting. Your sister is certainly a sociable person, Ida said, as he and Ochako sat down. Yes, she is. More of one than I've ever been, that's for sure. So, Ochako said, how's it feel to be class rep? Izuku though for a moment before answering. Honestly, it's a lot to take in. I don't really think I'm up to it. Of course you're up to it, Ada said, surprising the two. You're a tactical, skilled, humble leading figure. That's why I was one of those who voted for you. Really? Izuku asked, looking surprised. Gee, thanks. You're right, Ada. Ochako said Deku is a good choice, but you would be a good rep too. You certainly look the part because of the glasses and all. While your reason is completely debatable, I must say that I am not ready to take such a responsibility yet. If I want to make my brother and family proud, then I must make sure I'm ready to lead any type of group. Your family, Ochako said to herself. You know, Ada, I wanted to ask, the way you talk, the way you act, are you from some sort of fancy family or something? Ada adjusted his glasses before answering. Well, if you must know, yes, I am from a family that has been heroes for generations. While none have been the #1 hero, they are still well respected and well known for their speed. My elder brother is doing well in Hasu City now, but when the time comes for me to take his role, I will not let him down. Brother, Hasu City, Izuku though to himself. Then it hit him. Wait, Ada, your brother wouldn't happen to be. He is, Ada said before he could finish. The one and only Ingenium. If I'm going to live up to his name one day, I must be prepared. Both Izuku and Ochako were surprised. This explains why Ida acted the way he did. Izuku was about to ask more about his family as well as ask Ochako about hers. However, that when something unexpected happened. The cafeteria was filled with the sound of an alarm. As soon as it did, everyone began to panic and made their way to the exits in a wild manner. Izuku and his friends got caught up in the madness. This is crazy, Izuku said as he tried to stay on his feet. This is not how students at a school like this should behave, Ada said before he was forced against the window. That was when he saw what triggered the alarm. The alarm meant there was a security breach, but what everyone didn't know was that it was triggered by news reporters, not villains. There's no danger at all. Everyone needs to calm down, Ada thought to himself while he thought of a way to get everyone's attention. He couldn't just say the press was outside since no one would hear him. He had to think of something. He then saw Ochako next to him, and he got an idea. You're Uraraka, Ada said. Call me Ochako, she said, trying not to get pushed over. Okay then, Ochako, touch my hand. Use your quirk too. Make me float. I think I know how to calm everyone down. Ochako thought about what his plan might be, but realized she didn't have time to think. She reached over to him, and when their hands made contact, she used her quirk to make him float in the air. Once in the air, Ada used his engines to boost across the air until he was above the exit. He then shouted to get everyone's attention. People, please calm down. We are at UA High, let us act like we are. The alarm was triggered by reporters, not villains. So let's all calm down and continue exiting the building quietly. Once Ada was down talking, everyone looked out and saw that he was correct. Once everyone began walking instead of running, Ada used his engines to get close to the ground. Once he was close enough, Ochako deactivated her quirk and Ida landed on his feet. Great job, Ida, Ochako said as they began walking with the crowd. Yeah, that was a smart move you made, Izuku said while thinking to himself. He came up with a good plan, even when everyone else was panicking. Lunch soon ended and classes resumed. However, at the end of the day, Izuku made an announcement that surprised everyone. Are you sure about this, Deku? Ochako asked from her desk. Yes, I am. I'm not ready to lead the class yet. Ada proved today that he is more capable of leading it than me. That's why I'm giving my position to him. Ada was unsure on what to do, but after a moment of thinking he realized why Izuku was doing this and reluctantly accepted it. Looks like your official class representative is Tenya Ada, Mr. Aizawa said, looking unamused. The class accepted this and Ada promised to do his best. The school day soon ended and everyone left home. Once Izuku and Himoto went their separate ways from Ada and Ochako, Himoto asked Izuku something. Are you sure you did the right thing, Izuku? She asked, looking at her brother. I know Ada is a great choice, but you were a great one too. Izuku looked at Himoto and said, I know you feel that way, but I'm not ready to take such a responsibility yet. I barely have control of my new quirk right now, so I need to focus on that for the moment. Oh, okay then, Himoto said, but I was really looking forward to leading our class together. Guess we'll have to wait till next year. I might have a chance next year, you though, Izuku said slyly. Himoto gave him a punch on the shoulder and Izuku the two shared a laugh. Once they got home, they had dinner with their mother while talking about their day, and went to bed. The twins sat in class the next day waiting for to start class. As soon as the bell rang, Aizawa came into class and began to make an announcement. Good morning, class. Today we will be having another hero lesson. Last one was about battle. This one will be about. He held up a card with the word rescue on it. Yes, Izuku said. Great. Himoto deadpanned. Cheer up, sis. This will teach us a lot about what we'll have to do when we go pro. Yeah, I guess, Himoto said, trying to sound excited. The class then went to put their hero costumes on, except for Izuku, since his costume was still being repaired from his battle with Bakugo. Once everyone was on the bus, they began a 20-minute drive to an off-campus facility for their training. So Mina, Himoto said while looking at Mina who was sitting beside her. Are you excited about this training? More excited than you seem to be, Mina said with a smile. What can I say? I like battle more than rescue. Is that a bad thing? Don't ask me, I'm just a trainee. The girls shared a laugh while Izuku watched from across the center. Wow, he thought, they're already on a first-name basis. That's just Himoto, I guess. Izuku was then brought out of his thoughts by a tap on his shoulder. He looked to see the frog girl, whose name was ... was. Hey, I don't want to be rude, but what was her name again? It's okay. That's not rude, Ribbit. I'm Tsuyu Asui, but call me Tsu, just like your sister does. Huh? Of course she does. Izuku muttered to himself. Nice to meet you, Tsu. Hey, how come you didn't sit next to Himoto and Mina? Don't you sit with them at lunch? Yeah, but I want to get to know you a little more, Ribbit. You seem like an interesting person. The way you gave your position to that Ida guy, the way you beat up that Bakugo guy. Not too far from them, Bakugo scoffed. But they didn't notice. And your quirk. I'll be honest, your quirk reminds me a lot about All Might's quirk. Izuku's eyes widened. He turned to face Himoto, who had heard what Tsu said and also had a nervous look on her face. To make matters worse, the other classmates soon joined in on their conversation. You know what? Asui is right, Kirishima said. Call me Tsu. Ribbit. Right, Tsu. You and All Might both use super strength and from what I've seen, super speed. It's really manly, unlike my hardening quirk, Kirishima said while looking at his arm. My quirk is good in a fight, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, I'm useless. What? Don't say that, Izuku said, getting Kirishima's attention. Your quirk is useful for fighting, but it can also be useful for other things if you get creative, he said, trying to cheer him up. He's right, dude, Himoto said. You just need to train more and you'll be a great hero someday. Really? Thanks, guys, Kirishima said, looking a bit embarrassed. You know, you sure will make good pros too. Kaminari said your quirks are both really strong, and you seem to get along pretty well. Maybe you guys could be the Wonder Twins. Kirishima then began to laugh, while a few others joined him. That reminds me, Tsu said, if you guys are twins, why do you have different quirks? Oh, because we're fraternal twins, Himoto answered. My quirk is a combination of our parents' quirks, and Izuku's is a completely different one. It was caused by some sort of mutation, but he's not complaining about it, right, bro? Why, yeah, Izuku said, trying to sound confident. Oh, please. Everyone looked to see Bakugo looking angrier than usual. Those two are no Wonder Twins, especially Deku. If Himoto wants to be even close to Wonder, she needs to lose the dead weight and work alone. Oh, shut up, Bakugo, Himoto said, getting everyone's attention. I keep telling you that's not gonna happen. Me and Izuku made a promise to each other and to our dad that we would never abandon each other. You think you're gonna be the #1 pro one day, but if you think we won't be a challenge for you, you're wrong. Bakugo was about to yell back, but he decided to not waste his breath. Mina began to compliment Himoto for standing up to Bakugo. Once again, I've been saved by my own personal hero, Izuku thought to himself. Wow, Bakugo, you really know how to talk to girls, don't you? Kaminari said sarcastically. Screw you, weird hair #2. Bakugo yelled. #2? Who's #1? Kaminari asked. That would be me, Kirishima said, raising his hand. Don't worry, I won't call you that for long, just until I come up with a better nickname, Bakugo said. Given the nickname you gave Kirishima, that could take a while, Kaminari said, causing Bakugo to growl. Wow, Kaken being picked on, Izuku thought to himself. This school is just full of surprises. Whatever you guys are talking about, finish it quickly. We're almost to the facility, Aizawa said. Everyone kept talking about other random things until they arrived at a large dome-shaped building. The students thought the outside looked big, but the inside made their jaws drop. There was a spot with a lake and boat, a dome that appeared to have fire inside, an area that looked like a destroyed city, etc. Everyone continued to look around until a sequel caught their attention. Why is that? Everyone looked at Ochako, who was stuttering. They then looked at what she was pointing at and saw a person wearing some sort of spacesuit. No one knew who it was until Izuku spoke up. Wait, are you? Izuku was then cut off. Yes, I am. The person said I'm the space hero, 13. Everyone began to recognize her, while Ochako began to fangirl over her. Aizawa was forced to put a stop to it by telling everyone to calm down. He then turned to 13. Where's All Might? He said to her. 13 then whispered into Aizawa's ear. Everyone wondered what she could be telling him, but when she put 3 fingers up, both Izuku and Himoto realized what she was telling him. I see, Aizawa said. Change of plans. All Might can't be here for this lesson, so we're gonna continue without him. Everyone began to ask why, but Aizawa quickly shot them down. Listen up, students, 13 said. You're all aware of my quirk, right? Oh, I know, Ochako said excitedly. Your quirk is black hole. It allows you to suck things up into a portal you create. Yeah, that's a simplified way of saying it, but there are some important things to know about it. My quirk is good for saving people, but if I'm not careful, I can hurt more than I save. Same goes for all of you. Your quirks can do more harm than good if not used properly. So today we will be focusing on rescuing rather than fighting. You will try your best to rescue the hostages while causing minimal damage. Thanks for the explanation, 13. Aizawa said. I'll take it from here. He then turned to the class. Listen up. You will all be put in groups and sent to a different area. We will decide your groups by. Aizawa stopped speaking when the lights flickered in the building. When the flickering stopped, Aizawa felt something sinister coming from the center of the building. He looked to see something that almost made him gasp. In the center plaza, a black and purple portal appeared. Out of it came dozens of villainous-looking people, some even carried weapons. The last to emerge were two individuals. One was a young man with white hair and hands covering his body. The other was some sort of bird-looking creature with its brain exposed. So, the young man said, "This is where All Might will take his last breath. It seems like a fitting spot." A wicked smile appeared on his face. This is gonna be fun. Name, Tenya Ida. Quirk, engine. Quirk function. He has engines on his calves that allow him to run at high speeds. However, if he uses them too much, they will overheat and he won't be able to use them until they cool down. Status, power, B. Speed, A. Intelligence, A. Technique, B. Defense, B. PS from the previous of Ochako Uraraka. Power, C. Speed, C. Intelligence, B. Technique, B. Defense, B. And done. Thank you all for reading this. I enjoyed writing it. The next chapter will begin the USJ arc. I'm looking forward to writing it, especially the part where Himoto has to battle villains. Thanks for giving me some reviews. Make sure to give me more, please. Until then, see ya. So the young man with hands all over his body said, "This is the place where All Might will take his final breath." How fitting. A wicked smile spread across his face. This will be fun. Oh crap, Aizawa said. Is this part of the training? Kirishima asked. No, it's not. I don't know how, but somehow real villains have infiltrated the facility. 13. Get the students out of here now. I'll hold them off while you guys go get help. But sir, Izuku said, you can't fight all those guys by yourself. Your quirk is only good for one-on-one fights. Aizawa turned to Izuku with a smug grin on his face and said, Kid, you can't be a pro if you only have one trick. He then put his goggles on and shifted from teacher mode to hero mode. With a determined look on his face, Eraserhead launched towards the villains and began to wrap some in his scarf while canceling out the quirks of whoever he could. Name, Eraserhead. Quirk, Erasure. Quirk description. He can erase the quirks of whoever he looks at, but he can only cancel one quirk at a time, and the effects wear off when he blinks. Status, power, B. Speed, A. Technique, A. Intelligence, A. Defense, B. Looks like he has it covered. Himoto said with a grin on her face. Let's get out of here, bro. Oh, okay then, Izuku said before he and the rest of the class began to follow 13 towards the exit. But just as they got halfway to the door, the purple mist that appeared at the plaza suddenly appeared in front of them. Greetings, a sinister voice said from the mist. Sorry to get in your way, but I have a question for you, 13. 13 stepped up prepared to fight. Who are you people? Why are you here? She said. Who are we? The mist said as a pair of yellow eyes appeared in the center. We are the League of Villains. My name is Kurogiri, and the reason we're here is quite obvious. We're here to kill All Might. Everyone gasped softly, especially Izuku and Himoto. However, he doesn't appear to be here. We expected him to be at this facility according to his schedule. Would any of you happen to know where he is? Kids, stay back. 13 yelled as she began to use her quirk. Name, 13. Quirk, black hole. Quirk description. She can generate a black hole suction that can disintegrate anything, even light. She must be careful though. One wrong move and she could injure or even kill someone. Status, power, B. Speed, D. Technique, B. Intelligence, B. Defense, B. A black hole appeared in front of 13 and it began to pull the villain in. Yelled, you're the fastest one here, right? While I hold him off, go around him and head out the doors to UA. Get help and return here as soon as possible. Yes, ma'am, Ada said as he got into runner's position. Then with a burst of speed, Ada ran past Kurogiri and thought the doors. Curses, Kurogiri said. I'll have to inform my associates of this, but first I must take care of all of you, starting with 13. A portal appeared in front of him. The portal caused the black hole to appear behind 13 and damaged the back of her suit. 13. Ochako screamed as 13 fell to the ground. Damn, this guy is strong, Kirishima said. Time to take him on ourselves. Bakugo yelled as he ran towards Kurogiri. Kirishima ran after him in order to stop him, but it was too late. The class was then covered by the purple mist, and before anyone knew it, most of Class 1 was gone. Only Mina, Aoyama, Shoji, and Ochako were left. What happened to everyone? Ochako said with fear in her voice. Oh, don't worry. They're not dead yet. Kurogiri laughed as he teleported away. Looks like his quirk is some sort of teleporting quirk, Shoji said as he held the unconscious 13. Pui, Aoyama said. So our class must be somewhere around the building. But where? Ochako said. Locations for you. Flood Zone, Izuku, Tsu, and Mainta. Downpour Zone, Takoyami, and Himoto. Landslide Zone, Todoroki, Shiro, and Ajiro. Ruins Zone, Bakugo, and Kirishima. Mountain Zone, Yaoyorozu, Jiro, and Denki. Conflagration Zone, Hagakure and Sato. Izuku found himself falling into a body of water. He closed his eyes as he entered the water. When he opened them, he saw nothing but blurry water all around. He was just about to move when a figure began to approach him, and it did not look friendly. It was some sort of shark-looking man. He was about to move away, but before he could, the man was kicked by a green blur. Izuku was then picked up by a pink line and pulled to the surface, where he was put onto a ship. Once he collected himself, he looked around and realized where he was. I'm in the flood zone, so I'm still in the USJ. He looked down at the water to see the green blur from before emerge. It was Tsu, and she was carrying a nervous-looking Mainta. Thanks, Tsu, Mainta said. I was scared at first, but the feeling of your boobs makes me feel safe. Tsu's face went red. She then used her tongue to lift Mainta to the ship's deck and slam him on his back. Oh, Izuku thought, that looked painful. Wonder what perverted thing he said to get her that angry. Tsu then used her tongue to grapple on a rail and pulled herself onto the deck next to Izuku and Mainta. Thanks a lot, Tsuyu, Izuku said. I told you, call me Tsu, she said, looking slightly annoyed. Oh, sorry, Izuku said, nervously. Hate to interrupt, but, Mainta said, pointing down at the lake. But we're about to die. Calm down, Mainta, ribbit, Tsu said. We'll be fine. We just need to find a way off this ship and back to the entrance. Plus help just be on the way by now. Yeah, Izuku said, and Sir All Might is on his way here. But unless that guy was bluffing, he may be in trouble. No way, Mainta said. These guys stand no chance against All Might. That's a good point. But now's the time to focus on us. How are we gonna get out of here, and how are we gonna fight all these villains? Izuku turned to the fish-looking villains in the water, but then he noticed something. Hey, how come they're just waiting there? You're right, Tsu said. They should be attacking us like they did in the water. Water, Izuku mumbled as he looked at Tsu. Wait a minute. Tsu, you were pretty fast in the water, so this zone was practically made for you, right? Yeah, you're right, Tsu said. If they wanted to have the advantage, they should have put me in the conflagration zone, Tsu said, looking at the fire-themed building. What are you guys saying? Mainta asked. These guys, they don't know what our quirks are, Izuku said with a determined look. Maybe we can take advantage of that. Yeah, you could be right, Izuku, Tsu said. We just need to formulate a plan with our quirks to get to the entrance. Great, Mainta said, looking relieved. But first, we need to explain our quirks to each other. Good point, Izuku said. I'll go first. Izuku looked at the two while holding out his hand. Then he clenched his hand into a fist and cyan electricity crackled around it. My quirk is superpower. It enhances my strength, speed, and other physical status to higher levels. The more power I use, the stronger I get. Mainta and Tsu's eyes widen at this. Wow, that's a strong quirk. Ribbit. Like I said before, it's a lot like All Might's. Not quite, Izuku said, deactivating his quirk. It has a big drawback. If I use too much power, my body won't be able to handle it, and I'll break my bones. Oh, Tsu said, looking a little worried. That explains a lot, actually. So much for you taking care of everything for us, Mainta said, looking nervous again. Don't worry, guys. I'm sure your quirks can help just as much as mine can, Izuku said. My quirk might be, Tsu said. It's called Frog. It basically lets me do whatever a frog can. Like extended my tongue far, hop really quickly, climb up most surfaces, swim really fast. Tsu paused for a moment before speaking again. Spit out my stomach so I can clean it. Both Izuku and Mainta nearly gag upon hearing this, but held it in since they didn't want to hurt Tsu's feeling. That's a cool quirk, Tsu, Izuku said. And it will help us out since we're in a water-filled area. All that's left is for Mainta to tell us his quirk. Izuku and Tsu turned to Mainta, who was starting to calm down. Well, my quirk is called Pop Off. Mainta then grabbed one of the purple balls on his head and pulled it out. Tsu and Izuku's eyes widened as a new ball appeared almost instantly. I have these sticky balls on my head. When I pull them out, they stick to any surface I want them to. He placed the ball against the ship wall and it firmly stuck to it. They lose their stickiness eventually, depending on how I feel. But if I use them too much, I'll bleed from my scalp. Oh, and they don't stick to me. I just bounce right off them. Mainta looked at Izuku and Tsu, who both had unamused looks on their faces. Tears began to fill in his eyes and his fear began to return. I know it's not the coolest quirk, but you guys don't have to criticize me at a time like this, Minta said with tears running down his face. It's no use. All our quirks are useless. We have no chance of surviving before help gets here. I can't believe I'm gonna die before getting to feel yay or is this boobs? Smack. Minta rubbed his cheek which was just smacked by Tsu. Calm down Minta, ribbit. We're not gonna die. She's right, Izuku said, and our quirks aren't fact. I think I have a plan on how to get out here with them. Tsu and Minta both looked relieved and focused on Izuku. Okay, here's what. Izuku suddenly remembered something. Hey Tsu. Yes? When you were in the water, you didn't happen to see Himoto in there, did you? If I did, I would have brought her on board, ribbit. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm just worried about her. I'm sure she's fine, dude, Minta said. Right now you need to worry about yourself, and also us of course. Now tell us the plan. Okay, Izuku said, while in his head he was thinking, hope Minta's right. Wherever you are Himoto, I hope you're doing good. Himoto opened her eyes to find herself in an alleyway. It was dark and raining with no signs of stopping. Good, you're awake, a voice said. Himoto looked to see Takoyami. The bird-head boy had a serious expression on his face. Takoyami, Himoto said, rubbing her eyes. What happened? Where are we? I think we're in the downpour zone, the building that resembles a raining city. So we're still in the USJ. Yes, it looks like that villain didn't send us too far away. But we have bigger issues. Takoyami pointed to a spot and Himoto turned to it. She saw an unconscious man with a hammer for a hand. Who's he? She asked. He tried to attack us while you were unconscious. I was able to beat him, but I have a feeling he's not alone. So, looks like we'll have to fight our way back to the rest of our class. Yeah, but I'm sure we can handle it, especially since we're in a darker zone. My quirk will be stronger here. Wish I could say the same. Himoto said as she blew a fire from her mouth that quickly turned to smoke. Rain like this will make my fire useless. Well then you'll have to rely on your combat skills. But from what I saw during the battle train, you have lots of that. Yeah, kinda, Himoto said with a nervous look. She may have had some fighting experience, but she never really spared with anyone except Izuku, and she always held back against him. Himoto suddenly realized something. Takoyami, the bird-headed boy, turned to her. Have you seen Izuku around here? No, only you. As far as I know, he ended up somewhere else. Oh okay, I hope he's safe, Himoto said. I'm sure he's fine, judging by the skills he showed during the battle training. I'll bet he's on his way to the entrance as we speak. As long as he's not with Bakugo, he's alright. Well, a new voice said. What do we have here? Himoto and Takoyami looked to see a man with horns surrounded by other villainous-looking men. Be careful, Himoto, Takoyami said. Don't worry, I'll be fine, Himoto said as she got into a fighting stance. A shadow creature then came out Takoyami's torso. You ready, Dark Shadow? He said. The shadow nodded its head. Name, Fumikage Takoyami. Quirk name, Dark Shadow. Quirk description, he can summon a shadow monster from his body to do his bidding. When in dark areas, his monster becomes more powerful but harder to control. Status, power, C. Speed, C. Intelligence, C. Technique, B. Defense, B. Takoyami charged at the goons and began to unleash Dark Shadow upon them. Only one goon got away and was now standing across from Himoto. Well, little girl, he said with a smug grin. You up to fight a real man? Little, Himoto said with anger in her voice. I'm 15. She then ran up to the villain and blew as much fire as she could, only for it to become smoke instead. It will take more than a smoke screen to beat me, little. The villain stopped talking when he was kicked in the face by Himoto. Nice kick, Himoto, Takoyami said. Yeah, I'm surprised that worked, Himoto said, looking proud of herself. Maybe we can tag team these guys. Good idea, Himoto, Takoyami said. The two then made their way to the exit. Anytime they came across a villain, Himoto would blind them while Takoyami used Dark Shadow to throw them against a wall or floor. Looks like we'll be fine, Himoto thought as Takoyami defeated another villain. Wonder how everyone else is. A thug said as his body was frozen and just scoffed at how weak these villains were. Man, I thought these guys would be tough, Shiro said as he wrapped a villain with his tape and threw him against a rock. Yeah, Ajiro said as he kicked another villain in the face. These guys are easy, although I think that's mostly due to Todoroki. Thanks, man. Todoroki didn't respond. Instead, he turned his attention to a man frozen from the neck down. Listen up, he said in a cold tone. If I leave you all like this, you'll die of hypothermia. If you don't want that to happen, tell me why you're here. The man clearly didn't like the thought of dying, so he answered right away. We're here B because that hand guy, P, paid us, he said, shivering. I honestly don't know what he wants T to do, B, but I think H, he said S something about killing All Might with that B bird-looking thing. Todoroki paused for a moment. So that creature is more than just a thug. If it can combat All Might, it must be very powerful. He then realized that he and his allies needed to get to the main entrances immediately. You too, he said, facing Sato and Ajiro. You done playing around? Not what we were doing, but yes, we're done. Ajiro said, slightly annoyed. Then let's get out of here, Todoroki said as he began to walk away. Hey wait, one of the thugs said. What about us? Another one said. We don't want to die. You won't, Todoroki said blankly. Not unless you're like that for a few hours. But I'm sure the pros are on their way now, so don't worry about that. Sato and Ajiro both waved to the villains as they began to yell and curse at them. Well, that's done, Todoroki thought. Hope the next fight is at least kinda challenging. Die, Bakugo yelled as he unleashed an explosion on a villain with a stone hand. This sure is fun, Kirishima said as he punched a villain in the face, knocking them out cold. The two boys didn't know how they were transported there or where these thugs showed up from, but they didn't care since they were beating the crap out of them. Screw all of you, Bakugo yelled as he unleashed a series of explosions all around him. Glad to see he's acting so heroically, Kirishima said to himself. One by one the villains dropped. Some put up a better fight than others, but in the end, Bakugo and Kirishima stood over all the unconscious bodies. That was all, Bakugo said smugly. Too easy, Kirishima said, holding his fist up. Not bad, weird hair, Bakugo said. Thanks, Kirishima said, slightly annoyed by the nickname given to him. We should probably get out of here now. Whatever, Bakugo said as he began to walk towards the exit. Just don't annoy me. Sure thing, man, Kirishima said as he began to follow him. Gyro was doing her best to keep the thugs at bay. Her quirk wasn't very good for group battles, and the zone didn't give her an advantage either. Momo seemed to have a better time feeding the villains off. She had made a staff and was using it to knock out as many as she could. Kaminari was also taking out more enemies than Gyro, but he was using combat rather than his quirk. Kaminari, Gyro said, your quirk lets you shock people. Why not use it to take all these guys out? My quirk is more complicated than that, he said as he knocked out another villain. I don't just shock people, I send out electricity all around and hurt everyone around me. I don't want to take these guys out while taking you guys as well. Oh, Gyro said. Don't worry, Gyro, Momo said as she held out her hand. A light appeared around it and a flash grenade appeared from it. Well, delete these guys and get out of here. We just need a plan. You're right. I'll think of something while I help Kaminari. You take care of those guys, Gyro said, pointing to a group of villains getting up. I'm on it, Momo said as she threw the grenade at the group. Once it exploded, they all covered their ears while Momo created a metal baseball bat from her palm. This will make for good training, she said with a smirk. Name, Momoye Yurazu. Quirk name, Creation. Quirk function, she can make any bone-living thing from her body using lipids inside of her, but she can only make it from her bare skin. Status, power, B. Speed, B. Technique, A. Intelligence, A. Defense, A. Momo ran at the villains and began to bash their heads with the bat, almost comically, while Gyro and Kaminari took on the other half of villains. They were holding off good, but eventually they would be pushed into a corner. Gyro knew this and began to think of a plan to escape back to the others. That's when she thought of something. Momo, she yelled, can you really make any non-living thing? Yeah, as long as I know the structure of it. Can you make something that's immune to electricity? Yeah, hi. Momo quickly caught up with Gyro's idea. Ah, great plan, Gyro. Momo got closer to Gyro and put her arms around her. Then an object that looked like a blanket burst out of her back and covered the two girls. Trying to hide from us or something, one villain joked. Very funny, Momo said as she peeked her head out. Let's see how funny you are after my classmate shows his full strength to you all. She gave Kaminari a thumbs up. Oh, I see what you guys did, he thought to himself. That insulation blanket will keep you guys safe, but the rest of these jerks aren't so lucky. Kaminari then charged up a full power shock and said, take this. A burst of electricity covered the area, and when it stopped, Gyro and Momo looked out to see all the villains unconscious. Not bad for a moron, Gyro said as she looked amused. Yes, that was a powerful attack, Kaminari. Kaminari. Momo looked to see Kaminari walking around with a dumb smile on his face. Is he all? Momo stopped when Gyro pointed out that her costume was ripped wide open. Oh my, she said, covering herself with the blanket. Is that he's? She was cut off again by Gyro. No, I think it's because of his quirk, Gyro said, looking annoyed. Name, Denki Kaminari. Quirk name, Electrification. Quirk function, he can discharge electricity around his body or all around him, which can do massive damage. But if he overuses it, his brain short-circuits and he becomes a big idiot for a while. Will he be okay? Momo asked. He'll be fine. Let's get out of here, Gyro said as she grabbed the dumbstruck Kaminari by the shirt and pulled him along. I'll catch up, just let me fix my costume, Momo said. Okay, Gyro said. Huh, Kaminari said, putting his thumbs up. And I thought you were a dumbass before, Gyro deadpanned. Hagakure was afraid when she first landed in the place where there was fire all around her. But she calmed down when she noticed Sato there, and even more relieved when villains appeared and he began to knock them out like nothing. Good thing I ended up with him, she thought to herself. My invisibility quirk is good for a lot of things, but this is not one of them. You guys want more? Sato said as he reached in one of his pouches and pulled out a pack of sugar. It's more you'll get. With that, he ate the sugar whole and began to wail on all the villains. Name, Rikido Sato. Quirk, Sugar Rush. Quirk function. For every 10 grams of sugar he eats, his strength increases by 5 times for 3 minutes. However, if he eats too much too quickly, he could get hypoglycemia, which will make him dumber, clumsy, etc. Status, Power, A. Speed, B. Technique, B. Intelligence, C. Defense, B. Hagakure could even explain what happened. 1 minute there were villains all around. Now there were a bunch of unconscious men. Way to go, Sato, she said happily. Sato. She then saw Sato sitting down on the floor while panting. You okay? Yeah, it's just sugar crash, he said between breaths. That's cool, the thugs are out anyway, but we better get out of here before they wake up. Yeah, I could use some help though, Sato said, reaching up to the pair of floating clothes. Come on. Hagakure helped Sato and his feet and helped him walk towards the exit of the zone. This zone sure looked dangerous, but thankfully none of the villains had advantage in here. Also, there weren't as many as they thought. I wonder how everyone else is, Hagakure thought to herself. I hope they're all okay. That's the plan, guys, Izuku said as he finished explaining. You guys got all that? Minta and Sue wanted to say that this plan was a bit rash, but they trusted Izuku enough to follow his lead. Sure, Izuku, just tell us when to start. Ribbit, Sue said. We start now, Izu said as he stood up straight. Meanwhile, down in the water, the villains began to get impatient. Those kids haven't made any moves. Maybe we have them cornered, a man with fins said. Yeah, another man with shark features said. Enough of the waiting, let's go get TH. What the? The man and all the other villains saw a green figure leap from the boat. It was the frog girl carrying the green-haired boy in her arms and the purple-haired boy on her back. Okay, here goes nothing, Izuku said as he held out his arm and placed his middle finger behind his thumb. Delaware Smash, Izuku said as he launched a full power attack at the lake. When it hit the water, it created a whirlpool that began to swallow the villains. Now Minta, Izuku yelled. All right, Minta said as he began to throw his sticky balls rapidly at the villains. Take this, punks. The balls began to stick to the villains and soon they were all stuck together and pulled directly into the whirlpool. Woohoo, Sue said as they began to descend to the water. Your plan worked, Izuku. Yeah, I guess it did, Izuku said with a confident grin. Despite the fact that he had a broken finger, he felt ready to help defeat more villains. But first he had to check on his teacher. We're almost at the plaza, Izuku said as they landed in the water. Just a quick swim and we'll be there. We can see how Mr. Aizawa is and if he's good. We'll head back to the entrance. Sure thing, Izuku, Sue said. As long as I'm safe, I'm good. Minta said, still sounded scared. Looks like we're good, Izuku thought. Hope you're okay too, Himoto, and all of my classmates. The three made their way to the plaza unaware of the horrible sight they would see. Name, Izuku Midoriya. Quirk name, One for All. Quirk description, he possesses a quirk passed down from one generation to another. It allows him to stockpile power and it grows stronger with each user. However, he can't use it at full power yet if he tries to help break his bones. Status, Power, B. Speed, B. Technique, A. Intelligence, A. Defense, D. Izuku, Sue, and Minta arrived at shore after a short swim. Izuku tried to ignore the broken figure he currently had, but it was harder than usual. When they got on land, they realized they were in the central plaza. Hey, I think I see Mr. Aizawa, Ribbit, Sue said, pointing to the figure that was currently fighting three villains at once. With a swift move from his scarf, Aizawa grabbed the villains. They tried to break out, but none of their quirks were working. Incredible, Izuku said with an amused look. First he uses his quirk to disable their quirks, then he wraps them up when they're powerless. He really is a pro. With a quick jolt, Aizawa flung the villains behind him and they all landed head first on the ground out cold. Not bad, Eraserhead, the man with hands around his body said while scratching his neck. You truly are skilled in combat, and your strength is good too. But, the man leaped at Aizawa with his hand held out. Aizawa blocked his hand with his arm. The man smirked as he placed hand on Aizawa's arm while saying, You're still no match for someone like me. The man leaped back to the bird monster. Aizawa was about to charge at him, but stopped when he felt a great pain on his arm. He looked down to see that the arm he blocked with was somehow falling apart. His skin was falling off, revealing the muscles in his arms. So, Aizawa said in a calm tone that hid his pain, your quirk is decay. The man just smiled sadistically. The great Eraserhead is falling apart at the hands of me, Tamura Shigaraki. Name, Tamura Shigaraki. Quirk name, Dake. Quirk description, he can decay anything he touches. In order for it to work, he must place all 5 on one hand on the object. Status, Power, A. Speed, B. Technique A. Intelligence A. Defense B. A portal appeared next to Shigaraki before he could make another move. Kurogiri emerged from the portal, now shaped like a human while wearing what looked like a bartender suit. Kurogiri, Shigaraki said, did you take care of the brats in 13? 13 is down and the students have been scattered. However, one of them managed to get past me and got outside. Shigaraki's face became shifted, and while his face was covered by a hand, one could not miss the anger in his eyes. Damn it, Kurogiri, if you weren't our way out of here, I'd kill you myself. I'm sure you would, Tamura, Kurogiri said in an unamused voice. No matter, Shigaraki said as he turned his head to Aizawa. His sadistic smile returned as he said, we still have some time here, so why don't we have a little fun? You mean, Kurogiri started but was cut off. Yes, Shigaraki said. He then called out to Aizawa, who was currently fighting the remaining villains with only one arm with barely any effort. Well, we'll erase her head. Aizawa turned as he knocked the last villain out. You made quirk work of those pawns. I think it's time you face my knight. Shigaraki looked at the bird creature while pointing at Aizawa. Namu, attack. Before Aizawa could do anything, the bird creature moved at incredible speeds behind Aizawa and punched him into the ground. Izuku and his classmates were in shock, while Shigaraki smiled and said, time for some pummeling. Are you enjoying your tea, Yagi? Nezu asked All Might, who was in his deflated form. Of course, you always know how to make it, All Might said as he sipped his cup. Well, I am a natural when it comes to stuff like this, Nezu said with a smile. But enough with the compliments, let's talk about you and your situation. All Might's face turned serious. Oh yeah, I forgot to update you on that. Then start now. What's your current time limit? About 2 hours, All Might said. Well, that explains why you weren't able to make it to the USJ training, Nezu said as he took another sip of tea. Yeah, my time limit is lowering faster than I anticipated. At this rate, I won't even make it to the end of the year before retiring. That bring up another question. How do you plan on retiring? Plain and simple. When my time is up, I'll go on the news and announce it to the world. And you're looking forward to that? Of course not, but what choice will I have? Besides, once the world sees me in my deflated form, they'll see why I have to retire. As long as you have your smile, the public will continue to admire you, Yagi. Yeah, but they'll need someone to protect them as well, All Might said, looking out the window. Then it's a good thing you located a suitable successor, Nezu said, getting All Might's attention. You mean young Midoriya? All Might said, turning to face Nezu. Ah yes, he's a great successor. He's only had one for all for 3 months and he's made significant progress with it. From what I've seen, he can use it without hurting himself, Nezu said, finishing the last of his tea. Yeah, but only at low he goes over his limit. He could hurt himself badly, All Might said, placing his empty cup on the table. Maybe so, but I'm sure he'll be able to use his quirk's full potential in no time. Yeah, especially with young Himoto's help, All Might said with pride in voice. Ah yes, his twin sister. From what I've seen, they seem to work well with each other. Indeed, All Might said. In fact, it was young Himoto who helped young Midoriya learn how to use one for all properly. He also helps her improve her own power as well. Really? Nezu asked, intrigued. Then I think it's best to keep those two together. I couldn't agree more, All Might said as he pushed his cup across the table. May I have one more glass? But of course, Nezu said. Just as he was about to pick up the cup, the door flung open and Ida came through while collapsing on the floor. With quick reflexes, All Might changed into his buff form before Ida looked up and saw him. Young Ida, what are you? Help! Ida yelled, cutting All Might off. Villains have attacked the USJ, Ida said, panting. I managed to escape, but the others are still in danger. We need help immediately. That's why I'm here. Once Ida finished his sentence, Nezu and All Might looked at each other briefly before Nezu ran to his desk and spoke into the microphone. Alert! Alert! USJ under attack. All available personnel head to the facility immediately. Nezu spoke as seriously as he could. Meanwhile, All Might stretched before he got in a running position. Thanks, young Ida. Your efforts will not be in vain. I will defeat the villains and save your classmates, I promise. With that, All Might took off at high speeds towards the USJ. Ida saw through the window how All Might ran as quickly as he could, while thinking to himself, I hope everyone will be okay. Having a good time, Eraser, Shigaraki said as he watched the creature identified as Namu deliver another blow to the man's gut. At this point, Aizawa was already beaten to the point where could barely stand, whereas the Namu had received no visual damage. Izuku along with Minta and Tsu could only watch as their teacher was being beaten to the ground. Aw geez, Minta said, looks like that monster is too much for Mr. Aizawa. We could really use All Might right now. Ribbit, Tsu said nervously. I'm sure he'll be here any minute, Izuku said. He knew that All Might was at his limit for today, but he hoped that he would push past his limit and save them at a time like this. This is fun, Shigaraki said, but I'm getting bored of this. I think it's time to do something else. Namu, hold him. With that order, Namu grabbed Aizawa, who was barely conscious, by the collar and held him towards Shigaraki. What do you say, Eraser? Should I leave All Might a present in case I miss him? He turned towards the edge of the plaza where Izuku and his classmates were. Before any of them could do anything, Shigaraki ran at great speeds towards them. Next thing they knew, Sue was in the deadly grip of Shigaraki, who had all but one finger on her neck. So, Green Girl, got any last words? Shigaraki asked with a sadistic smile. Sue didn't respond. None of them did. Izuku wanted to help, but he was afraid he wouldn't be quick enough. No, then die already. Shigaraki then placed his last finger on Sue's neck. Everyone gasped in horror. Then silence came when nothing happened. What? How? Shigaraki said before he looked back and saw Eraserhead holding his head up. Through his broken googles, he saw his red eyes and knew what happened. Well played, Eraser, but you'll have to do more than that too. Before Shigaraki could say more, he was pushed off Tsu by Izuku. 5% smash. Izuku yelled as he hit Shigaraki right in the gut, sending him back. Guys, Izuku said to his classmates, let's get to the entrance now. Minta and Tsu nodded their heads as they all took off to the main entrance. Thanks for that, Izuku. Ribitsu said. Don't mention it, Izuku said as they got closer to the staircase. Shigaraki picked himself up while rubbing his gut. Damn, that was a good punch. You know what? Forget the girl. Let's leave his body for All Might. If you plan on chasing him then, Aizawa said before he was cut off. Chasing? Oh no, he's gonna come to us. Namu then threw Aizawa into the floor with great force. Hearing this, Izuku looked back to see Aizawa was barely awake. Even so, Namu continued to beat on him. Izuku growled as he saw the horrible sight. He then stopped at the bottom of the staircase and said, you guys go along. I'm gonna help. Sue and Minta stopped and looked at Izuku like he was insane. You're kidding, right? Minta said, if can't beat it, what makes you think you can? I can't, Izuku said as he turned his back to them. But I can stall it enough for help to get here. I have too. Izuku then took off at Namu, ignoring Tsu and Minta's protest. Namu was about to step on Aizawa's face, but as he lowered his foot, it hit nothing but the ground. Not too far away, the beaten Aizawa was placed on the ground by a determined-looking Izuku, who had activated full cowling 5% and was now in a fighting stance. I knew that would work, Shigaraki said as he scratched his neck more violently than before. Aizawa could only watch as his student was preparing to fight something more powerful than him. He wanted to tell him to get out of here, but he couldn't find the strength to. You'll pay for what you've done, Izuku said before charging at Namu as fast as he could. Once he got close enough, he attacked the Namu right in the gut. 5% smash, he yelled as his fist hit the monster's gut. But to his surprise, the monster didn't budge and delivered more and more smashes into the Namu, but none of them had effect. Finally, Namu grabbed Izuku by the arm and held him in place. You may be strong, kid, Shigaraki said, but you're no All Might. Namu then punched Izuku in the gut. Izuku went flying backwards and landed on the floor while holding his gut. Well, that makes us even, Shigaraki joked as Namu approached Izuku. Get rid of him, Namu. Once Namu reached Izuku, he lifted his foot into the air and prepared to smash him into the ground. Just then, Namu was hit with green flames, which allowed Izuku to move away. He then heard a voice behind him. Like I said, bro, baby steps. Izuku looked to see none other than Himoto, who had a flame in her hand ready to be thrown. Saved by you again, Izuku said with a grin. Even with a quirk, you still need me, Himoto said with a grin similar to his. Are you alone? Izuku asked. Yeah, I was with Takoyami, but I told him to head to the entrance. Told him you were my problem. Ha, well, at least you gave him an honest answer. Well, Will, looks like another brat wants to die, Shigaraki said as Namu recovered from her attack. Namu, take care of both of them. Namu then charged at the two who got ready to fight. Himoto shot more fire at the Namu, while Izuku pushed himself to full cowling 8% and hit the creature as hard as he could. From the entrance, their classmates all saw how they worked together perfectly. Wow, those two make a great team, Mina said as she stared in awe. Kui, Aoyama said, they truly are twin siblings. Yeah, but even they can't beat that monster, Sue said as she pointed to Izuku, who looked like he was exhausted. I can't keep this up, Izuku said. He then lost his footing and slipped. This allowed Namu to grab him and throw him towards Himoto. As Izuku slammed into Himoto, the twins laid on the ground, Izuku tired from using too much power, and Himoto having a headache from all the fire she had used. Well, that was amusing, Shigaraki said. But now your time is up. Namu, get rid of those brats. A sadistic smile spread across his face. And don't be gentle. Namu walked up to the twins and raised him foot again. Prepare if to end them once and for all. The twins closed their eyes, accepting their fate. Boom. A loud noise was made towards the entrance. Everyone, even Namu, looked in the direction and saw what everyone expected it to be. A blonde muscular who looked just like All Might except for one difference. He had no smile, but rather a look of anger. Where are the villains? Perfect timing, the Midtwins said together.